Also, Jake, you have Rick Pitino's number. Can you call him, please?
Yes, I will give it a go.
So, PFT, you think he didn't change his number?
I personally don't think that he did.
What a move.
He's got too many recruits in there.
Yeah. On today's Pardon My Take, we have draft talk. Lots of draft talk. We are 2 days away, 1 day away from the draft. We have Todd McShay, Daniel Jeremiah. Get all your draft questions answered with both the guys, where guys are going to go, what prospects they love. We're going to talk playoff basketball, Jimmy Butler's incredible night, LeBron's incredible night, the Celtics losing to the Hawks, some playoff hockey, and the return of Jimbos, special return of Jimbos after the interviews. We haven't done those in a long time. Great show for everyone. It's brought to you by our friends at Ourselves. Today's Pardon My Take is brought to you by the Barstool Sportsbook. The Barstool Sportsbook is now offering a $1,000 bonus for new players. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download and create an account today. Use code TAKE to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Be sure to use code TAKE to unlock your $1,000 bonus today. I'm opening up the app right now, by the way. Exclusives in the Barstool Sportsbook every single night. Tonight, Mr. Ice and Stephen Shea, the Brain Freeze, the best bet name ever, hit plus, what was it, Hank? Plus 335?
Yep.
Plus 335. I'm looking in the sportsbook right now. I'm going to tell you that I am heavily thinking about betting on the Milwaukee Bucks to win the series still. I think it's like plus 115, 120. I know that's a short price. I still think they'll probably win it. Lots of exclusives, lots of bets, every single sport, the Barstool Sportsbook. Again, if you sign up and your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download and create an account today. Use code TAKE to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Be sure to use code TAKE to unlock your $1,000 bonus today. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Pardon My Take. Today is Wednesday, April 26th, and the Boston Celtics and Atlanta Hawks are going to a Game 6. Oof.
That's sweet. It was such a sweet ending to the game. Like, as Joel Embiid put it, friend of the program, this is some good hoops. Hashtag
some
Ice
good
Trae.
hoops.
It was some good hoops. It was some good hoops tonight. And I know that you guys were texting the group chat. I was watching, I'm at my mom's new place, and I was watching on her brand new cable that we installed. And it was, we don't know what the real channels are yet, so I was having to watch on the Spanish broadcast of it. And the Spanish broadcast of the wedgie call at the end of the game was just electric. Jake, I wish I had recorded for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I need to see that. Is it on, like, what channel?
Can you recreate it?
I don't know. I just selected TNT, and I think that her TV was set up on the SAP button. So it's like, wedgie.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I need
great.
that. I need that.
By the way, so we're recording the first 10 minutes on Riverside on Zoom. We're going to talk about Monday night's games after that. So we're going to talk about LeBron and Jimmy and all that stuff. I don't know if you noticed it, PFT. As I was saying, the Boston Celtics and Atlanta Hawks are going to a Game 6. Max was just whispering to himself, let's go. And Hank looks like he wants to throw up. Boys, I mean, Hank, we should start with you. What happened? It was a 13-point lead with 6:10 left. I think we all had the same thought, like, this series is over. Thanks for coming out, Hawks. You won your one game. And then Trae Young absolutely took over. 38 points, 13 assists. Like, the shot he made, that one was more on Jaylen Brown backpedaling as hard as he was. The minute he started backpedaling, Trae Young was like, I'm going to shoot this. And he was shooting from everywhere all night.
And they kept switching. It was Al Horford was on him and he hit a three in his face, and it was Robert Williams on him and he hit in his face. They were just calling screens and getting big guys on him, so he had open looks. It was one of the most frustrating games in a long time. It was just one of those games I was on. I had the Peloton right there. I was on the Peloton, headphones in, not even listening at the end of the game. Just riding along, thinking about Philly, just getting ready, watching more as a formality. And then the last 2 minutes, I was at a complete stop, headphones out, watching, and just couldn't believe my eyes. Marcus Smart, obviously, defensive player of the year. You love having him on your team last year. He had a terrible end of the game. Trying to play defense on Trae Young and fouling him to give him the lead, that was crazy. They could have just stopped him right there.
Yeah.
Jason, it was bad. It was bad all around. Maddening.
Yeah, Jason Tatum 1 for 10 from 3. It was actually because it was basically every bad Celtics game this year where Jason Tatum's not shooting well and they give up a huge lead, and they're, to quote Doc Rivers, playing with their meat, which is something Philly didn't do.
Yeah. I just want to point out that there's no finer example of Boston privilege than Hank saying, I was watching this game more as a formality.
It's just
that's what it felt like.
Yeah, but who watches games as a formality? Like you just
you're
checking off a box.
No, like it was
Spoiled.
I mean
Hank,
more the game
spoiled.
was over.
You're
I
boy.
thought the game was over. It's like, all right, the game's
too.
over. I'm going, I can move on with my life, but I have to at least physically watch the game end. That's what I mean by formality.
No, but
You
by
have to see the
formality,
final buzzer.
let's not forget the fact that you thought it was such a formality. You thought that you could start to get a workout in before the game was over. That's how much of a
I did. I was like, I might, this game's over. I might as well get some calories burned in the fourth quarter.
now.
And then I burned like 80 because I was fucking stopped and just staring there, sitting in awe and disgust.
I know that face. I've seen that face in a text.
I love the
message
idea
before.
of Hank getting on his exercise bike and then just being so disgusted with everything that's happening that he doesn't even exercise, and then he just gets off and doesn't work out at all.
Listen,
that's
Hank,
exactly
I'll
what
back you up
happened.
on this. I've quit workouts for far less. Far less. You just show up to the gym and you're like, nah, not today. Put your clothes back on and leave. Okay, so it was crazy. Like, Trae Young deserves all the credit. He was hitting every shot, controlling the game. Hank, your panic meter, because a lot of people were asking what happens to soul patch bet if the Celtics don't advance. Well, good thing is Hank already said that if the Celtics don't advance, he will do the soul patch himself. So he's already in a soul patch bet. You're in a soul patch bet.
Yeah, I don't even care about the soul patch. I care much more. But again, I'm going to sound a little bit like a hypocrite here because on whatever Sunday show I was focused on Philly and fully, we're talking about the soul patch bet. I'm back to the Hawks. Just close out game sucks. Don't worry about the Sixers. Don't worry about Max's ugly fat face. Just focus on the Hawks, beat the Hawks, and then we can climb that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
Now,
there's also a matter to be solved about the Atlanta Hawks in their home arena having to cancel a Janet Jackson concert because the Hawks thought there's no way that we end up playing 6 games in this series. So
Taylor Swift is also there this weekend. Chaos.
Ooh.
Yeah, they scheduled a Janet Jackson concert. They have to cancel that concert. I think that everybody that had tickets, Hank, you should refund one person personally to atone for it, for the vibes.
If there is a listener of this show that also bought tickets to the Janet Jackson concert in Atlanta, I will refund those tickets. But you have to send me a receipt.
Dude,
if that crossover exists,
yeah, it exists.
I got you.
It
just
exists.
one ticket though, not 2.
Just one ticket. Okay, so I don't actually blame the arena for that because the Hawks, a fun little stat, the Hawks have been 500 or one game away from 500, either over or under, for 99 out of the last 101 days. All they do is just get to 500. They are, if you count the play-in, which technically doesn't count, they're a perfect 44-44 on the season. Like, that's just what they do. They're the middling team that now has the Celtics having to go back to Atlanta to try to beat Trae Young. Dejounte Murray back after bumping. I'm actually shocked that he didn't get suspended for longer because that was an aggressive bump of a ref.
They might be better without him.
Yeah, maybe. But
I'm already thinking that, like, hopefully he comes back and they're back to being discombobulated.
So my question though, I want to hear from Max real quick. Today could not have gone better for him. Embiid is back 100%, Max? Embiid is back?
Definitely not 100%, but it looks like he's probably going to be playing through pain. Looking a little bit better now that it's starting on Monday instead of Saturday. I'll say that.
2 extra days. 2 extra days to get healthy.
Now it's finalized. Game 1 starts on Monday no matter what happens in Game 6.
Hank being a video and audio producer and having his mic or his
autofocus.
Turn off autofocus.
I don't know.
For a second, watch on the YouTube because Hank was doing a Joe Buck picture of himself for a second.
No, you have to whatever. That was the other thing I was saying on the Peloton. I was planning out Saturday. I was like, I think I should go back to Boston, try and go to the game.
No, Hank. You got ahead of yourself.
I did.
Big time.
But
so
it felt right.
What are your nerves at?
5%.
I mean, there's no way, even if you lose Game 6, you're not going to lose Game 7.
No.
Like, I feel confident in that.
I don't think a Boston team would be involved in that. No, you're good. You're good.
I mean, for your planning purposes, you can still go back Saturday for a game.
Oh, true. Good point.
It might be Game 7.
Good point.
I've actually never seen the Hawks come back
that.
from a massive lead to go on to win a game in 7, but who knows?
Yeah, Ben Simmons passing up a nice little dunk, something like that.
No, yeah, I've never seen that happen. I've never seen Trae Young come back from a big lead and end up winning a series. So,
okay, so other games. Congrats to your Nuggets, PFT.
Thank you.
They've gotten one round. Your Wolves' future that you were telling us all they got to do is get to the Western Conference Final. Fell a little short, but I don't really know where the Wolves are going to go from here.
Hank's right. You're gaslighting. You're a gaslighter. You're gaslighting. My system, which was right at the time, my process was correct, was that I was betting on the Wolves to finish out the season slightly stronger. By slightly stronger, I meant like 1 or 2 more wins in their last 12 games than they actually got. I was betting on them to end up playing the Kings in the first round. I was hoping for that matchup, and knowing that De'Aaron Fox would break his finger
against the Warriors,
and then they would go ahead and they would be able to win that first series. Then, if they got to the second series, there might be a hedge opportunity, but definitely if they won 2 series, there would be a huge one. So my system was right, but the good news for me is I have a lot more money that's on the line for the Nuggets. I stood to make more money on the T-Wolves, but I had more of my own personal money on my Nuggets for a long time. This is a bet 2 years in the making. So I'm happy. We said on the last show that Jokic hadn't been the guy yet, and they had still been playing well. Well, right after we recorded that show, Jokic went out there and dropped like 40. Tonight he had a triple-double. So we're good. We're in good shape right now. And you know what? Nobody's talking about us. No one's talking about the Nuggets.
I'm actually it felt dirty that you had the T-Wolves against the Nuggets. The Nuggets are your team. They're your Western Conference team. Like, you needed them. The better PFT team advanced, both for you personally and your like two year stake in this, and also for the larger money.
The T-Wolves were a fling. It was an impulsive thing that I did that I thought I figured out a way to break Vegas, which I did. But the T-Wolves they didn't pull their end of the bargain. That's my problem with it. I did everything that I could. I made all the right moves. But sometimes, Rudy Gobert doesn't listen to math, and he punches his teammate in the face. That's what
they did win that game.
Still,
they So the Nuggets are done. Or sorry, the Timberwolves are done. That poor guy in Game 4, in the Timberwolves crowd who was waving the Nuggets goodbye down 3-1. That was tough. But yeah, I do think the Nuggets are very, very good. I'm excited. We're going to talk about LeBron a little bit, but Jokic is one of those players that he's been so good, and the playoff the team has not gone far enough. I'm rooting for him just because I don't like when people are like, well, he sucks because he's a bum in the playoffs, Mm-hmm. And he's fun to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's legitimately, he's an MVP. Some would say that he should have been the MVP this year. I'm not saying that, but a lot of people have said that. He's a beast. I mean, he's not a fluke. I don't think you can say he chokes in the playoffs. Last year in the playoffs, he had absolutely zero help. All of his best teammates were completely injured all season long.
I agree.
So the Nuggets were always a sleeping giant that people weren't thinking about because they do have a big three. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see who would they play? What's their matchup?
They're playing the Suns. The Suns are up right now as we're taping this. Suns are up 17 with start of the fourth quarter. So they're going to play the Suns. This is going to be a great series. These whole playoffs have just been awesome. I feel like every night is just an insane game.
Revenge game for the Suns and 4 guy.
Yes.
I'm going to call it right now.
No.
Nugs and 6.
Yeah, revenge game for the guy who got knocked out, you mean?
Yeah, for that entire. Of course, it was the Suns and 4 guy that was doing the knocking out on the guy that had the high ground. I'm calling it right out. Nugs and 6.
Nugs and 6. All right, let's talk a little playoff hockey before we kick it to ourselves and talk about Monday night's games. The Leafs might win a series.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy, and they've been doing it in like as dramatic a fashion as possible. Going down big, coming back big. I mean, I guess they might actually do this. They might actually win a series.
They were down 4-1 against the Lightning, and it looked as bleak as it could possibly get. And then I don't know, something happened. That's what you need in hockey. You need that spark to happen. We talked about it the other day with memes. You need a game where you come back and you snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, and then all of a sudden things start rolling downhill for you. So yeah. I'm hoping that's what happens with the Leafs. What's that? Why are you shaking your head, Hank?
No, you're right. That's how it goes.
It is.
Yeah.
I know. I'm worried that that's.
Oh, you're still thinking about the Celtics. So I'd say
the
over
Bruins
5%
would play the
worried.
Leafs next.
No, I'm not worried about the. No. I am talking about the Celtics.
Oh, you are. Okay.
The Bruins. I mean, the Bruins and Leafs might as well be the Celtics Sixers. Like it's like we play all the time. They never win. It's just how it goes.
Okay. The other ones, Islanders survive. Someone was getting upset that we never say the H words on here, which I won't say because it kills people every what? Like when's H word season? It's like late summer.
It's like 6 months a year
late
now.
Summer, early
Global
fall,
warming.
but
I refuse to say that name. Someone was like, would it kill you guys to say the H words? And he said the full word. And I was like, yeah, we don't say that on this podcast. But the Islanders back to game 6. Every hockey series feels awesome. And then the Rangers. The Rangers fans are right now facing an absolute disaster situation because the way they won the first 2 games and they talked all that shit, and now it feels like the Devils have control of this series. There's nothing worse. And like kind of a mini rival, there is nothing worse than having that early success, feeling like you got them, and having everything flip on you and all that shit you talked coming right back in your face.
I mean, that's the story of New York sports for the last, 10 years?
Yeah.
That's kind of how they operate. It's honestly sad how excited New Yorkers get about first-round playoffs.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's really sad.
Like let's think about it, because you've got the Rangers, right? You've got the Knicks from last year. These Knicks might be a little bit different, but you've got the Knicks from last year, and then you also have the Giants beating the Vikings, and all the Giants fans around our office were like, "Yep, this team's going to take care of the Eagles. We can do this. We can make it happen." It's sad. New York, have a little bit more respect for yourself, okay?
Zach Wilson won a game, and memes put a time picture of the year. Photoshop like instantly. Regular season game.
It's sad how low the bar has fallen here in New York.
Is memes here right now, or is he on the train?
I don't think
He's not here. He did give me a statement to read about the Islanders, though.
Okay, Islanders minute with memes, and then we'll kick it to ourselves and talk about the rest of the playoff games.
Okay, Islanders minute with memes. To whom it may concern, 2 minutes left in hockey with the other team controlling the puck in your zone is an awful feeling.
Yes.
Wanted to throw up the entire time.
Is this a poem?
With that being said, back against the wall, you got to win on the road. It's coming back to the island for Game 6 on Friday. You win, and anything can happen in Game 7. Go Islanders.
Nice. He is right. That game, the last 4 minutes, it felt like the H words had the puck in the Islanders zone, and it was excruciating if you're an Islanders fan. It is really no worse feeling because you're like, something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, and even in some of the best moments of a time like that, it just becomes a face-off, and then you have to have a face-off in your own zone. So you just get like a 15-second breather to feel like you're not staring down the jaws of death.
Yes.
And then, boom, you're tossed back into the fire.
And the Oilers look good. They might, I mean, unless they absolutely choke this.
The Oilers. The Oilers. It's midnight. I've slept like 4 hours the last 3 nights. The Oilers Kings series has been so much fun. Like every game is just chaos, goals everywhere. But yeah, they're up 6-3 right now in the third. Late in the third, Oilers might take that 3-2 lead. I feel like the Oilers, though, are like mini Leafs, that the minute they get up in something or have any little success, it just blows up in their face. So that's a cautiously optimistic, like maybe the Oilers will advance.
I just like the term Oilanders.
The Oilers.
That's
a good team.
great.
And they have the same colors pretty much.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. It
Like
sounds
the
like a dude
Philadelphia
from Australia
Beatles.
talking about like the Samoans.
Yeah, the Oilers. Okay, we have a lot more to talk about. We taped it earlier in the day, so not as scatterbrained. Let's kick it to ourselves in studio. Okay, quick word from a wonderful new sponsor. It is Duracell. Duracell has joined Pardon My Take. We're very excited about it. Few sports are more technically demanding than auto racing. Because of those standards, Williams Racing only trusts one brand of batteries, Duracell. You may not think you need the same level of performance in your batteries until you do. That's because Duracell is engineered for more and a proud partner of Williams Racing. I also love Duracell, so it's auto racing, the top end of what you need in terms of power. And then it's also for guys like me, dads, who I'll tell you right now, I rip through batteries, toys, remotes, everything. But I know Duracell's there. And I know when I put in a Duracell battery, it's like, listen, my kids could play with this toy for 3 weeks in a row and it will still be going. That's the Duracell battery. That's what they give to you. Everyone needs batteries. Everyone's always looking around for batteries. Don't do the off-brand. Get Duracell. Duracell is the one to trust when it comes to your batteries. And there's big-time things coming with Duracell. We got something coming in the next couple of weeks with Duracell. We're very excited. This is a wonderful sponsor. If you're an AWL, please go out and buy Duracells. Tweet me. I will retweet your Duracell batteries because that's how much this sponsorship means to us. They have come in big. They have also gotten us some great content ideas coming up. And they're the battery I trust because I burn through batteries constantly. Duracell. Learn more at Duracell.com. Duracell, the best battery in the world.
Yeah, they're the best batteries for remotes. I'm
Yes,
telling you, they're
easily.
the only battery I will put in a remote because I know that I won't have to touch those batteries. There's nothing worse when you run out of those remote batteries, then you have to start scavenging from your other remotes. You rob Peter to pay Paul. Doesn't happen with Duracells. Put them in your remotes.
I'll go one further. It's even better when you use it for your video game controllers because there is nothing worse than having a controller lose power when you're in the middle of a game.
Yep.
So Duracell is the battery of choice. It is the battery of Pardon My Take. That's official. Handshake, Pardon My Take, Duracell going to the moon.
And ladies, in your own Rumble packs, use Duracell batteries too. Nothing worse than having a game end in the middle of it.
Yes, so learn more at Duracell.com. Duracell batteries, the best batteries in the world. Okay, let's talk about Monday night. We'll get to Aaron Rodgers, but we first have to talk about a man named Jimmy G. Buckets, and the G stands for Gets. That was one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen. Jimmy Butler scoring 56, fourth all-time in points in a playoff game. MJ 163, Elgin Baylor 261, Donovan Mitchell 57, and then Jimmy Butler at 56.
Yeah.
He scored 56 points. He basically dragged the Heat to victory. It was
Bubble Jimmy.
It was incredible. Like watching it in person, when you're watching, like he had the first quarter where he was unstoppable. Then he was, maybe got a little tired, and then he came back, brought them all the way back. When you're watching these moments on TV and you're like, I'm watching something special where he could not miss every play he was part of, whether it be an assist or scoring. He's out of, they're the 8th seed. I know Giannis hasn't played, but Jimmy Butler is carrying a team that I thought was dead to the brink of a huge, huge upset that no one saw coming.
Yeah, well, Giannis did play last night, and
Yep.
he was not the lead dog on the court. It was J Butt.
Yeah.
Updated J Butt rankings. I've got him number 6 in the NBA as of last night's performance. If we're looking at the Steph Curry chart, Jimmy Butler is officially back to being maybe the most underrated player in the NBA in the playoffs.
It's playoff Jimmy.
It's playoff Jimmy. 19 of 28 from the field. That to me is insane because he went 15 of 18 from the foul line, right?
Yeah.
That's what Jimmy does when he gets locked in. He doesn't really miss free throws. But the fact that he got these points and he was extremely efficient while doing this is like probably the most efficient 50-point game of all time.
So
I don't know how to quantify that because I'm not a nerd, but if I was a nerd, I would be able to back that up with actual numbers. To me, just based on the eyeball test and watching the game and looking at the stat sheet, that's the most efficient 56-point performance of all time.
And his spin moves, like he had Giannis, like he was one-on-one with Giannis in the low post. I think it was in the first quarter, and he was just making moves left and right on him. Like everything he was doing was working. So when you talk about efficiency, now obviously the playoffs have only gone 4 games so far. Fun fact, play-in games don't count anywhere. The stats that happen in playing games don't go in the NBA history book. They just don't exist.
Because it's a non-regular season game.
It's the dumbest rule ever.
Yeah.
So those don't exist. So it's only been 4 games. So obviously if he goes on a long run, some of this will maybe regress to the mean. But there are only 2 players in the history of NBA who in the playoffs have gone 35 points, averaged 35 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on 50+% shooting. It's Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and now it's Jimmy Butler, and he's doing it on 62.8% shooting. That's insane.
Classic J-Bot. You were talking about his moves in the post. Some of his head fakes are just insane.
It's crazy. And
you remember that the old SNL sketch where it's the Butabi brothers that are just nodding their head?
Yeah.
That's what J-But's doing.
Me, you.
Yeah. He's just nodding, like faking people out with his head, with his shoulders, with his neck. He was dialed in. It was awesome. Now, They have what appears to be a commanding lead in the series, but it also at the same time wouldn't shock me at all if the Bucks just ripped off 3 wins.
No, because when you actually look at it, the Bucks have a better team, but the Heat have Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
like it's
and it took the most efficient playoff performance of all time to beat the Bucks in this game.
And the place was like rocking, which was cool because Miami maybe not known as the #1 sports town. The whole thing was awesome to watch. We were having the debate. So you said 6. I think that's where we landed. If you had to pick a guy to win a game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The list that I was thinking was it's Giannis.
Scott Foster.
It's Giannis. It's Jason Tatum. It's Curry. It's Durant. Who was the other name we had?
Chris Paul.
Not Chris Paul.
Probably not Chris.
Hank threw out Kawhi, which healthy Kawhi I kind of agree with. And Jimmy Butler's right there. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know who else we're missing.
No LeBron?
Oh, yeah, LeBron. LeBron is also there, which we'll get to in a second. Yes, that was the one we were missing. LeBron. So he's somewhere in like 5 to 7, 5 to 8 of guys that if you wanted to pick to win a game, he would be it. Like that's how good he is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And how dominant he is. And it was an awesome. It was kind of like Reggie Miller was saying it. That's the most impressive Heat performance. It is the only time I think a Heat player scored 50+ in a playoff game, and which
is crazy with the big 3.
Yeah, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Alonzo Mourning. Like there's a lot of good players in Heat history, and Jimmy just did it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome to watch. Good for Jimmy.
I still do think the Bucks might win this series.
I think they might too. But it does go back to the fact that it took a statistical anomaly to beat the Bucks in this game.
Maybe he just does it again.
Maybe he does it again. I don't know if he can do it twice in a row. But J Bud is back officially, and I think that we overuse the term "who's got that dog in him." I feel like there's like 30 different guys in sports that currently have a dog inside them right now. I think it should be one guy has the dog in him. There should be one dog guy.
I think dogs have Jimmy Butler in them.
Dogs have Jimmy Butler in them. I'd say Jimmy Butler is he's the head dog.
Yeah.
He's the alpha dog right now in sports.
It's so much fun when he gets going. And then the other one we had, LeBron.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that Duncan Robinson had a staggering +15 in the plus.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
3 or 4 from 3.
Yeah, he's been awesome the last 2 games. And then the night game, LeBron, vintage performance. I don't like LeBron. Everyone knows that. We talked about it on Sunday, but Dillon Brooks has made me like LeBron because I do think there's like a pecking order and a hierarchy that you shouldn't mess with. Like Dillon Brooks is a nobody. LeBron is one of the best players of all time. So I found myself rooting for LeBron to like stick it to Dillon Brooks. and he does with the clutch shot, 8.8 seconds left over Dillon Brooks. Also hit that 3/4 court shot when the time expired, that was very funny because it's like, what can he do? But it was like an old school vintage. I'm going to throw it back and just be the best player on this court. First player since Shaq, first Laker since Shaq to have 20 points, 20 rebounds in a game. He was incredible. Like, he was incredible. He stuffed it to the Grizzlies, who are the Memphis penis touchers. They had another 2 on Monday night where they touched 2 more penises. But it was cool to see, like, LeBron's 38 years old, and he's doing this. And I am officially on, like, Lakers might be really, really good watch.
So as LeBron gets older and as we age gracefully, I might add, on this podcast, I do start to find myself rooting for him in places where I wouldn't have before, just because it's like if LeBron is still going out there and dominating the NBA, I'm still young.
Right.
It makes me feel young to see him do that. Whereas before, when he was dominating, when he was like 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, I was like, what have I done with my life?
Right.
Why is this man doing so many things that I'm not even in the position to think about? But now that we're getting older, it's like I find myself gradually hating him less. And you're right, part of that has to do with the fact that it's not that I love LeBron, it's that I like him. I hate him less than I hate Dillon Brooks.
Right.
And so it's like the old story of if you're getting chased by a tiger, you don't have to be faster than the tiger, you just have to be faster than the other guy that the tiger's chasing. I want Dillon Brooks to get eaten by the tiger. I'm okay with LeBron surviving this attack.
He's switched on me because he no commented again last night after the game. You can't do that. You can't say LeBron's old and poke the bear and back it up with absolutely nothing. Like, he is a total clown, and LeBron proved that he's still got a lot of gas in the tank. And the Lakers, I believe, if you include playoffs, since the trade deadline, have the best record in the NBA.
They do.
So, yeah, I'm nervous. I'm officially nervous.
But it's good for the league.
Good for the league.
Good
you
for the
guys
league.
hate him, but the more he's
You know what?
around, the more exciting
We
it
root
is.
for ratings on this podcast.
Yes.
By the way,
This is good for ratings.
I mentioned the fact that LeBron had he was the first Laker with 20 points, 20 rebounds in a playoff game since Shaq. One of my favorite things to do is look old Shaq, like his game logs from the playoffs. In the 2001 playoffs, he had 3 separate games where he had 40 plus. He went 44-21, 43-20, and then in game 1 of the finals, he had 44 points and 20 rebounds. Like that, he was just so fucking dominant.
Yeah.
So dominant.
Those old Lakers teams were a lot of fun. Also, most important player on that team, Robert Horry.
Yes, that's a fact.
Clutch legend.
That's a fact. But yeah, LeBron, Hank, do you want to say anything about the fact that LeBron seemingly has a very nice path to the NBA Finals?
I don't think they'll make the finals, but
I'm now retracting my original take of like I don't take them seriously. I have to take the Lakers seriously.
I think I am rooting for Celtics Lakers in the finals.
that would be awesome. A little bit. No, that'd be awesome. I hope it happens.
Those are all the chips.
I'd rather play the Lakers than the Suns.
It's also you guys are tied for
Or the
total,
Warriors.
for total championships.
Yeah.
So are you nervous about LeBron?
No.
Were you rooting for LeBron last night?
No.
Okay.
But I've said it on the show over the years. He has done well so many times that it's impossible to hate on him as a bad player. I still root
he's
against
not
him.
a bad player.
I root against him. Well, he's not a choke artist. There was a while where he was a choker, and he
No,
couldn't
he
get it
hits
done.
clutch shots. He hit that
Right.
clutch shot.
The only argument that you have against LeBron as a player, the only knock that people can have on him is that he's not as good as the greatest basketball player of all time.
I very thoroughly enjoy rooting against him. I don't hate him as a person, but I very much enjoy rooting against him, and it hurts sometimes. But
I just hate
that's
what
the
Dillon
fun of
Brooks.
sports.
I hate what Dillon Brooks did to me.
It's nice to have someone to root against.
Yeah.
It does it makes you hate Dillon Brooks more.
Yeah.
Knowing that he makes you hate LeBron. It's lightweight hilarious that we're actually rooting for LeBron.
Yeah, no, I can't deny my feelings, but it will change once they get out of this series. But Dillon Brooks has made me root for LeBron to basically shove it in his face.
And John Morant, the play he made at the end of the game, like that should have been the story. Obviously, LeBron hit that shot, but that was an incredible play.
You know what I like about LeBron sometimes is when he does get actually mad at something. Because he spends so much of his time making everybody like him and trying to just like appeal to everybody and try to be this big mythical figure that I like it when he actually gets emotional on a human level that's not calculated.
Yeah.
And when he's pissed off at somebody, he's fun to watch.
Yeah, Yeah. LeBron, I think also the cracks in the Grizzly team are showing because I believe I can't remember. I think it was Bane that was on LeBron, and he said afterwards that the help needed to come there, and the help was Dillon Brooks.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you're on the Grizzlies, you have to be pissed that Dillon Brooks did this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It like I think we talked about this last week. It's the Lance Stevenson, Deshaun Stevenson factor. People challenging LeBron that have no business challenging LeBron actually makes it way worse for everybody else on the team.
Yes.
And also Austin Reeves, 23 points. Austin Reeves.
He's awesome. He's averaging like 18 points a game.
Legitimately a good player.
Yes. I am taking the Lakers for real. I retract my initial statement, and I was wrong.
It's a lot of people are throwing out the Alex Caruso, Matthew Dellavedova comparisons for Austin Reeves. Let me just say that Austin Reeves is not Matthew Dellavedova yet.
Right, yet. Okay, other news. Aaron Rodgers is now a Jet, officially. Congratulations to us, Billy. To
Congrats.
both of us.
And to memes.
Congrats.
And to memes. Are you excited?
I'm pumped. It was I actually tweeted yesterday morning before the news broke. I was like, if this thing doesn't happen, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it happened.
If this thing doesn't happen, it's never going to. That's profound.
Around the
It was
draft.
Confucius.
Around the draft.
Yeah.
If it wasn't going to happen right before the draft or right after the draft, it was never going to happen. It was one of those things like, is the check in the mail?
Yeah.
Like, is it really coming? And now that it's real, Jets are definitely going to go to the playoffs and might make a run at Super Bowls.
I'm
actually so hyped. They have a
don't say
top
that.
5 defense. They have weapons. And they have Aaron Rodgers. I really don't see how this goes wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Here's how it goes wrong.
That was great.
Literally,
That was great adding
literally,
that
Don't
part.
clip that.
literally everything you just said is how it goes wrong. Guaranteed to make the playoffs. Let me just ask you guys off the top of your head, since the last time the Jets made the playoffs, let's count the Jets' last playoff game as being one game. Okay. How many more playoff appearances do the Detroit Lions have than the Jets?
2.
3.
Three.
They have 3 times as many playoff appearances as the Jets since the last time the Jets made
Wow.
the playoffs. So the Jets have been, like, historically, they've been on a real bad run recently.
Yeah,
And-
they're the longest drought,
and
right?
I don't know if they that sounds right.
I think they're the longest drought in the NFL.
But saying all the talk about the Jets being one piece away, it feels like kiss of death scenario where it's like we finally have the complete total package right now. And Aaron Rodgers switching to a new team. He's familiar with the offense because he's got his emotional support quarterback in the room with him. He's got his emotional support coach, Nathaniel Hackett, in the room with him. So it feels like it shouldn't be that bad of a transition. But you also can't discount the history of New York Jets quarterbacks.
They have they have 12 years since they've been in the playoffs. The Broncos are the second with 7.
That's
And
always
they
wild
also-
to hear that the Broncos are
And
the
they
second.
won the Super Bowl the year before that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is this goes back to when you told us that you feel bad for us. The Jets are still the Jets.
No, this time it's different.
Okay.
Okay.
This time our quarterback uses hallucinogens, which will allow him to circumnavigate like any bad press.
Okay.
He's gonna hate the New York media and he's gonna be so
No.
so combative to him.
He's
But
the only one.
he's
who can
gonna
do
love it. I think he's gonna love getting into fights with the New York media, whereas other Jets quarterbacks, they feel all the pressure from the media. Now the New York media is gonna feel the pressure from Aaron.
Yes.
It's gonna be like that
Yeah.
BBC interview with
Yes.
Elon Musk, where Elon's like, "I'm gonna question you now." That's what Aaron's gonna do to the media here. It's gonna be a fun show to watch for sure. And I actually do think, like, they're on paper, he is the missing piece.
Yeah.
Because the Jets scored, I don't think they scored a single offensive touchdown in their last 3 games of the year.
Yeah, no, Zach Wilson is very bad.
But he's
And
gonna
now they have Aaron Rodgers.
The articles are already being written about how this gives Zach Wilson second life.
Are you writing them?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
what do you mean the articles are
I
already written?
read 2 articles already about how Aaron Rodgers not only sets up the Jets for success now, but could provide mentorship to Zach
You
Wilson.
you talking to yourself late
No,
at night doesn't count as an article.
No, I was having these takes like months ago, but now the mainstream media is like putting out articles like
Damn,
that.
you're ahead of your time.
I know.
Since we're making bold claims, Billy said they're definitely making the playoffs and nothing can go wrong. I'll join you, Billy. Jordan Love, not that guy. I'm just going to enjoy it until he proves that he eventually obviously is going to become that guy because that's what the Packers do. But I have a little window here where I can talk shit and be like, maybe I'll be right.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe he's not that guy.
You know what, Big Cat? We've talked about how we would love to lose a Super Bowl. How fun would it be to lose a Super Bowl to Aaron Rodgers, though?
I don't want to lose the Super Bowl to Aaron Rodgers, but I have a long-standing take of if you take out the Bears, let's say the Bears are bad next year, which isn't it's not like you have to daydream too hard. The Jets winning a Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers retiring after winning one Super Bowl with the Jets in 1 year would make me very happy because I would be able to say he won one in 1 year in New York and he won one in 15 years in Green Bay.
Yep.
So I'm kind of rooting for Aaron Rodgers.
Also, Aaron Rodgers, if you're looking for like someone in New Jersey to hang out with, knows the area, just hit me up.
Okay.
I'll show you like where some good spots are.
Nice.
Open invite.
Yeah, you can chill in my backyard.
I think, preemptive take, I think he's going to fuck Zach Wilson's mom.
Yeah. Just get it out of the way.
Be on the lookout for that.
Be an
for that
alpha.
one.
Be
Yeah.
an alpha.
Because, Zach said he's going to make whoever is going to be the starting quarterback, he's going to make their life hell.
I think
it's already a contentious relationship.
Yeah.
I think you would have made Derek Carr's life hell, but not Aaron Rodgers. I think he respects him way too much.
Okay.
What are we basing that off of?
I mean, Aaron Rodgers.
It's just Billy's
Just
fan
your own
fiction
brain.
right now.
It's your own brain, yeah. No, I got it.
Enjoy it. I'm not. You should be happy. I do
Yeah.
think the Jets are going to be very
so
good.
pumped.
Yeah, you should be. This is going to be a very fun season. The Jets never play in primetime. They're going to play a fuckload of primetime games this year.
Yep.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
You know, MetLife has only hosted one playoff game,
Damn.
and it was back in 2012.
That's crazy.
And
It was the Giants. Not
And
the
it was-
Jets.
and it was the
Yeah,
Giants,
the
yeah.
Giants. Okay. Let's do Hot Seat Cool Throne. Then we got a lot of draft talk with McShay and Daniel Jeremiah. Hot Seat Cool Throne is brought to you by our friends at Coors Light. Sometimes the days can get so crazy that you forget to make time for fun. When that happens, you've got to choose to chill. So go ahead, say yes to midweek happy hours and catching the game after work. And while you're at it, enjoy an ice-cold Coors Light, the beer that's made to chill. There's only one beer out there that's literally made to chill, and that's Coors Light. The mountains on the bottles and cans even turn blue when your beer is cold. That way you always know when it's time to chill. When you're making time to chill, crack open a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment made to chill. The best beer in the world. Coors Light. When you choose to chill, pair your plans with ice cold Coors Light. It's playoff season. Nothing better than sitting on your couch on a Tuesday night, cracking open ice cold Coors Light, watching some playoff ball or puck. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/take. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, the best beer, the coldest beer in the world. Coors Light. Hank, Hot Seat Cool Throne.
My first hot seat, kind of an embrace debate hot seat. It's Coach Prime.
Okay.
Embrace debate. Colorado had 18 players enter the transfer portal on Monday. That's after the spring game. 41 total since Deion Sanders was hired. 63 of their 83 players, scholarship from 2022, have moved on. Most drastic roster flip of the portal era. Is that a hot seat for Coach Prime, or is he just, out with the old, in with the new?
Yeah, he's just
he's brought his luggage with him.
iron sharpens iron.
And it's Gucci.
Yeah.
Louis.
Louis.
I don't know.
We don't say Gucci on this podcast.
That's true.
So not hot seat.
Not hot seat.
No.
they did lose a couple players who put up amazing tape in the spring game, and they're just using that to leverage their transfer portal.
They were probably wearing hats during meetings. And Prime was like, no, not
Didn't
here.
say ma'am
Yeah.
when seeing a woman. Okay.
Then my other hot seat is the beam.
Okay.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox suffered a fractured index finger on his left shooting hand. He's a lefty. He is listed as doubtful for Game 5.
Credit to Hank.
Tough for the
Credit
beam.
to Hank.
Credit
to Hank.
It's tough for the Beam team.
Yeah.
What can I say?
And it's credit to Hank when he heard us hyping him up.
Yeah. Now, do you? I'm not a basketball player. Do you really need your finger on your shooting hand to shoot the ball?
Maybe a little.
Maybe. We should ask Titus.
Touch. Yeah, just a
played.
touch.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
tough. It's tough for Sacramento. But also, like we discussed, it gives you a good excuse.
Yeah.
Like we were going to beat the Kings, or we were going to beat the Warriors, and then De'Aaron Fox broke his finger. So, if history goes, if it's like 1 inch to the side,
Yeah.
we win that series.
Great what if. All right, your cool throne?
My cool throne is Peter Hewlin.
Yeah, you had that one way wrong.
U-line.
Hewline.
That's the fourth ace for people who
That's the fourth
don't
ace for the
remember
people that
Monday's
listen
show.
on Monday's show. I
Yeah.
said it doesn't matter. Only the top three matter. Turns out not only is he a top 3 ace,
Yep.
He's number 1 in the individual standings for the whole league.
Yeah, but it's a team game, so we're not expected to know that.
And isn't his dad like the CEO of was it Titleist?
Yeah, and he's from Massachusetts, New Bedford.
So you
Well,
you
no, I
just-
mean, what
fourth
is
ace.
what is his dad being? What does that have to do with anything?
Oh, people know him.
Do you know? Like,
I always know the 4 aces.
no, but like, do you know?
It's
TaylorMade's the guy that runs TaylorMade's.
If he was a 4
dad's
ace,
son.
I would.
Taylor runs it.
Yeah, if he was on, if he was a one of the aces, I would.
Yeah, it's the 4 aces are Patrick Reed,
Dustin Johnson,
Dustin Johnson,
Peter
Hewline,
Hewline,
and Ringo.
Perez.
Matt Perez, yes.
Pat Perez.
Fat Perez.
Fat Perez.
I love Fat Perez.
Who's also very good
He's
at golf.
awesome.
Yes, he's incredible at golf. He's a stick. Okay. Yeah, maybe next time remember your 4 aces.
I will. He's on the cool throne.
You should be saying it like when you get down and pray every night before you go to bed. Say your 4 aces. Be nice. All right, PFT.
My hot seat is Kmart.
Ooh.
I put Kmart on the hot seat. Our friend Ross Tucker tweeted out a draft take today and kind of maligned Kmart on it. He said that Will Levis is going to fall. Here's why. He's Kmart. If you want a polished passer, it's Stroud. If you want upside potential, it's Richardson. If you want cheapest price, you go to Walmart. If you want something nice, you go to Target. Kmart got caught in between, like Levis.
Oh.
So it's kind of a ricochet shot at Kmart, which might not exist anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So I was on the train up here this morning, and I had a little bit of time on my hands.
It does
So-
exist.
It does? Okay, so Will Levis is Kmart per Ross Tucker NFL. I like how he puts NFL, so you know that he's talking football.
Yeah.
We're talking pro football here. So I had a little bit of time on the train, so I made some comparisons of NFL players compared to what chain store they would be.
Okay, lay
and
it
you
on
can you
us.
can feel free to jump in if you think of any. I had Justin Herbert, PacSun.
Okay.
Seems like Pacific Sunwear. Josh Allen, Big and Tall.
Okay.
Jameis Winston, Spencer Gifts.
I feel like big and tall is for fat guys.
Yeah.
Well, he's big and he's tall.
but you
Yeah,
know what
but
I'm
Josh
saying.
Allen should be
Big
like
and tall is a store for fats.
Yeah.
For the fats.
Josh Allen
Right?
should be Kith.
Okay, he's Kith.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's cool.
He is very cool. Derek Carr.
Supreme?
He's not a hype beast. Josh Allen's fucking
No, but
you
people
know.
hype him up.
OBJ.
Yeah, but like
Supreme.
yeah.
Okay.
Billy's right.
OBJ's Supreme.
Okay.
Josh Allen's like Carhartt.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I like
Good
that.
one.
Yeah, tough, hardworking.
Yeah. Doesn't need to be flashy.
Derek Carr, Hot Topic. He
Mm-hmm.
just looks goth.
Yep.
Kyler Murray, GameStop
Yep.
for
Makes
the video
sense.
game, but also because he's in the news for being shorted.
Yep.
Mac Jones, I just wrote that he was meeting with his DUI attorney in the food court at the mall.
Okay.
That's where he's at. Lamar Plumber
Find a new
Supply.
slant.
What?
You guys never made mistakes when you were younger?
I made several mistakes. I'm doing a comparison for the show here.
Well, that wasn't a
Just
You're
doing-
doing comparisons for stores. You just didn't name a store. Like
no, it's
that's
the
a
mall.
completely-
It's the mall food court.
He should be.
Meeting
With
with
the DUI lawyer.
yeah.
Got it.
No, he should be at like the DMV for like re-education.
Okay,
Yeah,
DMV.
that works too.
Yeah, good job, Billy. He's at the DMV. I have Lamar Plumber Supply
Okay.
and Michael Strahan The Gap.
Okay.
Carson Wentz, Cabela's.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Deshaun Watson. I put the gas station Come and Go.
No, wouldn't it be he would be the little massages
Yeah.
that you get for
Massage.
like $15 for 15 minutes.
Massage.
In the
the
mall.
ones
In the
ones
mall.
in the airport.
Yeah, no, but the ones in the
Yeah.
mall, if we're doing a mall.
No, he's at the massage chairs
Yeah.
that are
'cause he's
near the
not
food
allowed-
court.
Yeah, he's not allowed to be near a person.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's my entire list that I jotted down. I'm sure I missed some.
Okay.
So fill me. Oh, Kirk Cousins Chick-fil-A.
That
Just
makes
seems like
sense.
Chick-fil-A. Reasonable
Yep.
price,
Not open
decent
on
product,
Sundays.
very polite. Not yeah. There you go.
Who's
okay.
Auntie Anne's?
Oh, Auntie Anne's.
Or like Panda Express.
Whoever smells the best.
yeah.
Auntie
Who is the
Anne's.
best smelling looking quarterback in the NFL?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts,
Yeah,
sure.
he could be Annie Anne's
Sure.
or Jalen Hurts American Eagle
Yeah.
would be another good one. My cool throne is Central Florida defense attorneys
Oh,
because Casey Anthony was seen buying baby clothes
yeah.
at Disney World. I think she was walking around. You know, I hate to see her go, but I love to watch her leave.
Yeah.
Shout out Casey Anthony. I disavow her actions. But
First edition in a while.
what? To the bonk list?
She's thick.
Did you see the picture?
She's thick, Hank.
Did you hear the Duracell ad?
Hank, she is thick.
Oh no, 417. You called Russell Westbrook a good-looking guy.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, that's just a fact.
Casey Anthony's thick.
She's dummy thick.
Yeah.
Dummy thick, but maybe the purchasing of baby clothes, I hope it's for somebody else's baby.
Yeah, that feels bad.
Yeah. That's
It
all I
feels
have.
really bad.
That's all I have to say about Casey Anthony
Okay.
at this time.
So that was just cool throwing Casey Anthony's
No,
hot.
Central Florida defense attorneys, if she actually has another child.
All right, my hot seat is we were talking about Jimmy Butler and what he did. My hot seat is the Chicago Bulls because we are now looking at Jimmy Butler potentially playing Tibbs in the second round. And while Jimmy Butler was putting on 56, Lauri Markkanen got most improved player in the NBA.
Oh, nice.
So
Current guest.
just pretty much a whole, every move that the Bulls have made has gone bad, and they had all the right pieces, and it's all fallen apart. So,
And Lonzo's hurt bad.
yeah.
Well, he made
He's
the play-in
never-
tournament.
Yeah, we did. We made the second play-in tournament.
There you go.
Yeah, second round of it. And then my cool throne is Morgan Wallen. So Morgan Wallen got his he had a concert in Ole Miss. Everyone went to the concert, got beer, drank, hung out, and then he canceled the concert. So people were very upset.
Said he lost his voice.
He lost his voice. The reason why he's on the cool throne, though, is that we then had people claiming they needed refunds, and this one woman tweeted out her itemized list of what she needs to be refunded for, and everyone just dunked on her instead of Morgan Wallen. So Morgan Wallen, shout out you because you have this woman backing you up. So she said, Morgan Wallen, since you're offering refunds, here's our itemized bill for you. Hotel.
Is he offering refunds?
I don't think so.
That was the other part I didn't understand.
Hotel, $560. Gas, 2 tanks, $80. Tickets, 4 of them, $1,600. My outfit, $120. My husband's outfit, $218. Oxford Grill House, $235. Cracker Barrel, $40. Los Paralelo, I don't know what this is. It must be a Mexican restaurant, $45. And then the best, Rebel Rags, which I assume is like the bookstore in Oxford, because we wouldn't have had the opportunity to go had it not been for this concert. $629. Drinks at the concert, $220.
She spent $629 at the Ole Miss bookstore.
She drill tweeted herself. She's like, someone help me with my budget. $629 at the Ole Miss bookstore.
Stop buying candles.
Yeah.
That's bold of her to request all this. I think he should refund the $400 tickets, right?
Yeah.
Because if you cancel and you're no show at the last minute, what do we know? Do we know why he lost his voice? Do we know what he was screaming the night before?
No, we don't.
That's my big question.
It was funny that people picked that to be canceling Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, this is actually good for him
Yeah.
because now it's like I fucking hate Morgan Wallen. He's an asshole. Oh, why? Oh, because he didn't play that concert at Ole Miss.
Right. By the way, the man's outfit, the husband's outfit that cost $219, kind of goes pretty hard. So he's got just a button-down shirt, a Coca-Cola hat, some nice boots.
He went hard at Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, it's just very funny to see it and be like, did he buy these clothes just for the concert?
Yeah, that looks like every other shirt. He must not have any other shirts.
Yeah.
If that's the one that he chose to wear to Morgan Wallen concert.
She also claimed, my husband has gone with me to 2 concerts ever in the 17 years we've been together. Somehow I talked him into this one and this shit happened. So emotional damage as well.
Yeah.
Tack on a couple Ks.
If I was Morgan Wallen and I lost my voice, like maybe just offer a partial refund and go out there and just play your songs and give people an experience, but be like, just stand up there.
Yeah.
But then you lose your voice more.
I know, but just be like, I'm not going to sing. I lost my voice. We'll give you a partial refund. Wouldn't that just be better for everybody?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Or at least go out there and have him DJ his own songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people can just jam out.
Yeah. Either way, Morgan Wallen now on the cool throne because of this woman's itemized list that was ridiculous. We'll put a picture of her in the YouTube. Everyone go watch the YouTube.
Has he issued like a formal statement on Twitter apologizing for things? I know that Tottenham Hotspur issued a formal apology for losing 6-1 to Newcastle.
They did a Tampa Bay Lightning.
But they're also going to refund the fans that went out to that game.
Nice. So
to
Morgan
witness
Wallen.
that. Yeah.
Let's get this woman $4,000 that she asked
Excuse
for.
me, Tottenham. I mispronounced that. People get mad at me. It's Tottenham.
It's also just funny because like a lot of those things like you were going to eat anyway.
Yeah, but Actually, the most concerning
$40 a
part,
Cracker Barrel doesn't seem like that much.
That's the concerning part to me. Is that couple looks like they could do way more than $40
Yes.
worth of damage
Yes.
at Cracker Barrel.
Yes. Billy, your hot seat, cool throne.
My hot seat is Chiefsaholic. As we know, the draft is in Kansas City. My reports on the ground are saying that he might resurface for the draft. He may be in Mexico, but he also may be hiding out in Kansas City. And the bounty hunter I talked to and some local police officers DM me and said that they're actively looking for Chiefsaholic at the draft. This isn't a warning to Chiefsaholic to
Sounds
not
like it is.
surface, but if I was Chiefsaholic, the spot's hot.
Sounds
I
like
kind of
it
want
is.
him to go, though.
I would love for him to go on stage when Goodell approaches the microphone.
Rush
he
the
just,
stage.
He just tackles Goodell like that dude at the Chappelle concert.
Okay, cool throne.
My cool throne is Ryan Garcia. So apparently,
Wait, by the way, it's funny because we should do like a tracker. Times I've mentioned Aaron Rodgers being gone out of my life. Times PFT's mentioned the Commander's sale. Times Billy's mentioned Chiefsaholic. It's like we got our plays. We just run them.
We have our
hasn't been
projects.
We have our
caught.
passion projects.
he hasn't been caught.
I know you need to catch him and then
know.
let him go.
Or I kind of want
Catch and release.
If he's in Mexico, I would love to do like a interview with him, like where we blur his face and stuff, and like I get blindfolded to a secret location.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
I would love that too if
Like,
you got kidnapped in Mexico.
when they interviewed the Taliban.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So Ryan Garcia, turns out one of his sparring partners, who has a very hard to pronounce Mongolian name, Erdabat Sudbatar, apparently sent him to the hospital in training with a body shot.
Oh.
And the mole then leaked that information to Javante.
So that sucks that you have someone in your camp that is leaking information, but it's not like Tank Davis wasn't going to try to hit him
Yeah.
in the body.
It's a
Right.
boxing match.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I'll
So-
hit him in the body. Because
so-
it also, like, it took him 6 rounds to hit him in the body.
So I've got
Yeah.
some inside information. This guy's weakness is he hates getting punched.
yeah, really hard.
But yeah, so that liver shot might have been.
It
some
still sucks. Like,
leftover, yeah.
it still would be brutal to have, like,
Yeah.
your fight camp and then be like, there's a leak.
Yeah, this guy got kicked out of the fight camp because he just was going too hard in sparring.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrap us up, Jake, and then we'll do some draft talk.
My hot seat's Rick Pitino.
Be careful.
Yeah, I will.
I'm pissed I missed this, by the way.
You know
I
what
think
I'm
you
about
missed
to
it
say?
too, PFT.
I did.
Yeah, you guys
it's
could have.
So it's like one of our all-time misses.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So Sunday, the ESPN broadcast at the Garden, they were doing their usual stars around the area, celebrities, athletes. One of them was Rick Pitino, and when they showed Rick Pitino, you could see him mouthing his phone number, giving it to someone. So people called and texted that number. He said he got over 300 plus messages. 95% were nice and positive, and he got 7 new lead recruits and he had to change his number.
That would.
What are the odds that the second he's showing, he's reading his number?
I wish that I was around for that. I really
Yeah.
do. I would have just called him up and said, "Coach, we're all rooting for you. We love you very much, Rick.
Come on by.
Come
on
on
the podcast.
Come on.
Come on.
Just come
Yeah.
on.
Just come as hard as you want on the podcast.
Come as you are.
but be
yeah.
careful
Yeah,
with what we say.
but
Okay.
just crazy. So he
That
changed
was
it.
crazy.
Yeah. My cool throne.
But he's pissing down his leg right now. Just thinking about
He's got a new phone.
his phone out there.
Got a new phone.
Got a new phone.
All right, so
number.
Yeah, okay. All right, sure you did, Rick. I'm gonna
Try
go back.
it.
I'm gonna
You
look
wanna
at
try
the
it? Should we
footage.
call that number?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have it?
I can watch the video and.
I'm sure
Let's
somebody.
do it during Jimbos because this is a
Okay.
perfect Jimbo.
Yeah.
Little preview for Jimbos.
Okay. My cool throne, the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've been made fun of a lot the last few years. PFT, you even had a bet on the Barstool Sportsbook exclusively betting against them for 2 straight years,
which
right?
was extremely profitable.
Well, it wouldn't be this year because they
Nope.
are 16-7. They've won 7 in a row at the time of this recording. Maybe that'll jinx them, but just tip of the cap to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
With the Sacramento Kings doing that in NBA, they've been made fun of. They've been bad. The Pirates have been awful, and they're
Where were the
really
Pirates
good.
on your total sports rankings,
Thank
Jake?
God. Let's
They were
see.
probably like second to last.
Yeah.
No, Pirates are good.
The Pirates are really good. The Pittsburgh Pirates, I have them at 120 out of 124.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, Jake reverse mushing
That's
them.
the worst baseball team.
I would
Yeah.
I would like very much, Jake, if you could put a pin in this moment on this date and then track the Pirates' performance over the rest of the season before Jake talked about how good they are.
16-7.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. Let's get to our interviews. We got Daniel Jeremiah, we're going to do Todd McShay first, then Daniel Jeremiah. Great draft talk with both of them. PFT, you got a quick word from our friends at Topgolf.
Yes, before we get into Todd McShay, I want to talk to you about Topgolf. We love Topgolf. I love going to Topgolf. Topgolf is awesome. You get the heated bays. You go out there. Nothing like a nice upper deck at Topgolf at nighttime. You get the targets all lit up. It's amazing. If you play golf, if you don't play golf, it doesn't matter because everyone can play Topgolf, even if no one can golf. They've got great food, great drinks. It's the only place that you can play around and then order another or hit a slice and then grab a slice. It's comfortable. It's got all the fun of outside, but with the comfort of inside, the comfy heated bays in the winter, and they've got the cooled bays in the summer. It's golf. It's not golf. It's Topgolf. Download the app, book a bay, and come play around. And now, here's Todd McShay.
Okay, we now welcome on our very good friend who I have texted with multiple occasions in the past year.
Man, I've been proud of you.
Yeah, it's Todd McShay, NFL draft expert. You're going to see him on Thursday night. It is draft week. We're very excited. Todd, thank you for joining us. Let's start big picture. My favorite question to always ask, give us the 3 strongest position groups and 3 weakest in this draft so that we can go around and tell everyone, like, this is the deepest cornerbacks have ever been or something like that.
Yeah, cornerback is one of them. So you can start with that when you're having the conversation 6 drinks in and trying to be an expert. I think we're going to see 2 guys in the top 10. I'll be surprised if Devin Witherspoon from Illinois isn't the top 10 pick. He's the most complete cornerback. And then the traitsiest corner in this class is Christian Gonzalez from Oregon. Then there's other guys like Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State, 11 career picks, 6 pick sixes, which is an FBS record during his career. But he's rail thin. He's 166 pounds. But I love his instincts and ball skills. And beyond that, I just think it's a really deep group of corners. I think probably 5 or 6 could wind up going in the first round. Then tight end. This might be the best tight end group that I've been a part of in the NFL draft in 22 years of doing it. Everyone knows about Dalton Kincaid from Utah, pass catcher, not a great blocker, but he's a difference maker after the catch and vertically. Michael Mayer from Notre Dame is going to be a stud. He's a complete tight end. He's not as explosive, but he can block in line and do all those things. But beyond that, I think I have 8 guys. I know I have 8 guys that could go in the first 3 rounds, which it's uncommon to have that many guys. Luke Musgrave from Oregon State is a really good pass catcher down the field. Sam Laporta, Iowa's got a tight end every year, right? Sam Laporta is this year's version. Brenton Strange from Penn State. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a great group. And then I would say probably edge rushers, just because, you're lumping in kind of defensive ends and outside linebackers. That 2 guys, the number 2 overall pick, everyone thought C.J. Stroud from Ohio State was going to be Houston's pick at 2. I'm not hearing that anymore. I'm hearing it's come down to Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, who's, 6'5" and change, 271 pounds, long and powerful. Kind of reminds DeMeco Ryans, the new head coach of Nick Bosa. I'm not saying he's Bosa, but he's got those kind of physical traits. And then Will Anderson, the outside linebacker, kind of just edge rusher, led the nation the last 2 years in sacks and pressures and hits and all the numbers that you look for. And the hardest working player at Alabama, maybe in this entire draft class. And talking to Nick Saban, he could not heap enough praise on this young man. So those are the top 2 guys. Then you get down to like Nolan Smith and undersized Burner, who ran in a 4.39 his 40-yard dash. Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. He's loaded with talent and still kind of scratching the surface as a defensive end that can kick inside to defensive tackle. And Will McDonald from Iowa State, highly productive. Another guy like Nolan Smith, not even 240 pounds yet, but will continue to add bulk. He's just bendy around the edge and flexible, and he's relentless. So there's a lot of good edge rushers, a lot of good tight ends, a lot of good cornerbacks in this class. Unfortunately, and running backs loaded too, but unfortunately, I think when you get to offensive tackle, guard, it's not a great class. safety is tough to. I mean, there's not going to be a safety drafted in the first round, which is rare.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say off the ball linebackers, the inside linebacker types, probably not a first rounder in this year's class either.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I've heard a lot of people say that the Texans are not planning on necessarily going with a quarterback at number 2. Maybe I'm the dumb one. And yeah, we are kind of, I guess, an honorary part of Mills Mafia for Davis Mills. But setting that aside, am I insane? Like, should the Houston Texans front office be arrested if they don't draft a quarterback? Why would you waste this opportunity to draft a quarterback if you're the Houston Texans and you are looking to still fill that role that Deshaun Watson left?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, I would take Stroud. I would take Stroud at number 2. There's some concern with him. The cognition test came back, and he had the worst score of all the quarterbacks. He's always had a great supporting cast. If you're the guy who's pounding the table saying let's not take a quarterback, you're looking at these things. But I mean, find me a better tape than Stroud versus Georgia. I mean, that's an NFL defense, and what he did, he just ripped them apart. He almost ended the Georgia run. And I just think he's the best pure pocket passer in the class. And, like, here's the thing: you got all these picks, right? You're picking at 2, you're picking at 12. You got like 11 picks, I think, in total this year. How do you walk into training camp and say, all right, we feel great. We've got all these really good players that are going to help us. They're foundation pieces. D'Amico Ryans was part of San Francisco where they built it on defense. But look at our quarterback room. We got Davis Mills and Case Keenum as our top 2 quarterbacks. So if it's not 2, they still pick at 12 again. And I've heard maybe Hendon Hooker from Tennessee is a possibility. I haven't heard anything about Anthony Richardson from Florida, but I do think he'll be available at 12. So it'll be interesting to see if they say, you know what, we can't get an edge like Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech or Will Anderson from Bama at 12, but we can get a quarterback. So maybe that's the route they're looking into. But if they exit this draft without utilizing one of those 2 picks on a quarterback, mm-hmm. It's going to be hard to say. And listen, it's not about the fans. It's not about the luxury boxes and all that, but it's going to be hard to sell this team to Houston fans, moving forward. And yeah, everyone says, well, next year, Caleb Williams is a star. He would be the first overall pick in this year's draft coming out of USC, Heisman Trophy winner. Looks like Mahomes out there. Drake May from UNC, loaded with talent. So yes, there are a couple quarterbacks that you can already see early next year. And if they don't draft a quarterback this year, maybe Houston will be drafting up there, but you can't count on it.
Right.
A lot can happen. One of those guys can get injured. You can win 5 or 6 games by accident and wind up picking 4th or 5th, and the top 2 teams need a quarterback. So that to me is not a plan. That's a hope. And hopes get you fired in this business.
Yeah. It makes no sense to me. You are in a position where you're picking number 2. There's some good quarterbacks, or at least some quarterbacks that people who are smarter than me, such as yourself, have told me project to be good quarterbacks at the NFL level. You're not going to – are you banking all your efforts on finishing dead last next year? Because they couldn't even do that this year. They screwed that up at the beginning of the season. It just seems like it would be insane if they didn't use a first-round pick on a quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's and it'll be interesting to see, because you got to remember, the information that's leaking out of Houston, is it real?
Right.
I don't know what everyone knows that Bryce Young is going to be the first overall pick to the Carolina Panthers. That's done, but they're trying to keep it quiet. Roger Goodell wants a good TV show for ESPN, ABC, and NFL Network on Thursday night, but that's done. So what is by putting information out there about Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson? I love both players, but I don't know if there's a team that you're trying to entice to move up to go get those guys because they're scared they're going to be gone. Because if you take Will Anderson, and Tyree's going to be available, and Zach Carter's going to be available at defensive tackle, and so on and so forth. So I'll be surprised, but it will be interesting because yes, information is leaking out of there. Is it real information? Nick Caserio is like a CIA agent. He worked under Belichick, and so I don't know. But last year we had no idea it was Derek Stingley until about a week before, and they were sending guys down there to see Stingley. And remember, they took Stingley ahead of the Defensive Rookie of the Year in Sauce Gardner, and so the information did come out of Houston. It was very late, almost like this. So we'll see what happens. But ownership too, like the McNairs have to at some point get in and say, there's been a lot of rumors about Caserio, the GM, not being here in a long time. So maybe it's ownership that steps in and says, you know what? Don't care how the board lines up. Don't care what you're thinking. This organization needs a quarterback. So that could be the wild card.
Yeah. So you said something interesting there. Anthony Richardson could potentially be available at 12. What are you hearing in terms of how it's going to play out? Because I would have assumed that with the Seahawks, maybe, obviously the Colts are going to take quarterback, Seahawks, maybe, Raiders, like the Titans at 11. What would you say the latest that one of these guys is going to end up falling to when you're talking about Levis, Richardson, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young going one no matter what?
Yeah, Richardson has the fewest teams that I'm aware of that has been linked to. Let's put it that way. We know Bryce Young's going one, right? CJ Stroud, if it's not 2, I don't think it's going to be 4. Indianapolis at 4 is the next team that needs a quarterback, assuming no one trades up. And they've been linked heavily. Like, I think that's real with Will Levis. I think that's their guy.
Right.
Now, excuse me, that wasn't necessarily, like, all the information about Levis was there when Stroud was rumored to be the pick. But I still, like, all the information I'm getting is that Will Levis is going to go 4. So if that's the case, now you've got 2 quarterbacks off the board and Stroud's still sitting there. 5, I've heard Seattle is, everyone's going to tell you this week that Seattle's not in the quarterback market. And I don't know if it's going to be at 5. But I'm told there's a very strong chance that they exit round 1 with a quarterback. Now, it could be 5, it could be 20, it could be them moving from 20 back up to get a guy who starts to fall. I've heard with Seattle, Stroud's a possibility because he's young. And whether it's Stroud or Anthony Richardson, and I've heard Richardson there, but that's about the only team that I've heard with Richardson. Like, all these guys have been linked to different teams. Richardson's has got a little love in Seattle, but I've not heard many other teams with him. But if Seattle's going to take a guy, it makes sense because Stroud's going to be 21 or he turns 21, I think, in season, or in Richardson. They're both going to be 21 as rookies, Richardson and Stroud. So if you've got Geno, you're at least going to sit him for a year, right? So you want a young quarter. You don't want Hendon Hooker, who's going to be 26 next January. You don't want Will Levis, who's going to be 25 by his second season. So you'd rather a younger quarterback. But if it goes Young 1, Levis 4, maybe Stroud 5 or 6 to Seattle or Detroit, then all of a sudden Anthony Richardson's the 4th guy up. And I've heard Houston has interest in Hendon Hooker, possibly at 12. And Tennessee is picking at 11. I've heard has some interest in Hendon Hooker as well if they can't move up to go get their guys. So it'll be interesting. Richardson could be in for a little bit of a fall. I mean, because you get past 11, who's taking a quarterback? Washington apparently is happy with its situation at 16. I don't understand how they are, but they are. And then Tampa Bay's at 19 and Seattle's at 20, Minnesota's at 23. So it could be a little bit of a long night for Anthony Richardson, assuming a team like Minnesota from 23 or Seattle from 20 don't move up to get him somewhere in the teens.
Okay, interesting. Okay. That's I mean, that's kind of like how the draft, the drama of it is which guy's going to fall. What's the chaos pick? Is it the Cardinals trading, or is it the Texans not taking CJ Stroud? Like, what's the domino that you'll be like, oh, wow, this is everything we thought was going to happen is now out the window?
Yeah, I think Houston. I mean, the draft starts at Houston. That's the biggest question. I mean, filling out a mock draft is a freaking nightmare right now. Like, I'm just hoping I get some information. Like, I called Shefty yesterday. I called 7 GMs and top scouts over the weekend. Like, this weekend is usually the weekend you get the most information. And the information I had coming into the weekend is basically the same as what I exited with. Nobody truly knows at number 2. I'll say this, like, yeah, Arizona's borderline desperate to move out. Everyone in the league knows it. I think they want to move back and take an offensive lineman at a better value and get more picks because they arguably have the worst roster in the league, right? So Arizona moving out, yes, it would be a domino, but I don't think it necessarily would be a shock.
Right.
Where I think things are going to be interesting on a couple fronts. I think 5 and 6 are the most intriguing picks because Seattle's sitting there and Detroit's sitting. And for a while now, everyone's saying, I don't, they showed a lot of interest in the quarterbacks. I don't know that they're going to take them. But if Stroud's sitting there and if there's a little love for Richardson, I think both of those organizations are willing to, and remember, both organizations, Seattle and Detroit, have second picks in the first round. Seattle at 20, Detroit a couple picks earlier at 18. So they have the leeway of saying, we're not planning on picking this high again. Let's get a young, cheap quarterback, try to develop him, and let's go get a really good player at 18 or 20. The other part, too, at 5 and 6, that's where Jalen Carter, arguably the best player in this draft. I would say from talent standpoint, my tape study, he's the best player in the draft. But you're dealing with a lot of immaturity, a guy who's not a self-starter and doesn't handle hard coaching well. If you're not going to start yourself and you're going to push back on hard coaching, like where's the motivation coming from to get better and to be consistent? So I think Jalen Carter, if he doesn't go 5-6, and I'm being told there's a real likelihood he doesn't, I don't think he goes 7 to the Raiders. He's not going 8 to Atlanta. Jalen Carter, the best player in this draft, could go number 9 to Chicago. And Chicago, remember, had the first overall pick. They got DJ Moore, number 1 wide receiver. They got additional picks from Carolina and could still get the best player in this draft in Jalen Carter if he slips to 9.
That's crazy. And yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that he is the best physical player in the NFL, but you mentioned like he doesn't take hard coaching well. Is that Kirby? Is that people at Georgia that are actually saying like they're not giving the most glowing reviews to their own guy?
I have I've got a 1 page of 7 different sources I've talked to. And I started it, I had about 5 in December. And it includes quotes from the coaching staff, yes. Let's just put it this way. As good as Jalen Carter was, and as important as he was in his last 2 years winning national championships, I don't think there are a lot of people in Athens that are crying that Jalen Carter's leaving town. I think he's been a lot to handle. And I'm not saying anything that everyone in the league isn't saying and it hasn't been reported. Like I'm just giving the information as to why. And I'm not here to bash young men. And I pull for all these guys as long as it's not like domestic abuse or something horrible. But you've got to have a strong veteran presence in that defensive line room. And you've got to have a lot of good leadership on the defensive side if you're going to be comfortable bringing in Jalen Carter, because he's got to be motivated from teammates, I think, to in order to get him to play at the level he needs to play at, and that you would expect him to play at as a top 10 pick.
All right, we'll have a source off here because your sources are telling you some things. I've got a source that was giving me some information about a top 10 pick, Will Levis. My source told me that video of Will Levis throwing the ball into the uprights from his knees from the 50-yard line is pretty fucking sweet. And then a team should actually move up to draft him because of how sweet that video is. So like we're stupid fans and we watch it, we see a video like that and we're like, oh man, that's awesome. That rocks. Are there any GMs or any maybe owners, anybody in very important decision-making processes in the league that would be liable to see a video as dumb as that is and be like, I got to have this guy. Did you see that video? No, but it was pretty sweet. I'll give you that. Mm-hmm.
Like I saw one of them where he hit the goalpost from like 50 yards out on his knees.
Yeah.
Like hit the actual goalpost and called his shot. Like that's hard to do. But remember, Jamarcus Russell fooled us all doing the same shit.
I'll get fooled every year with that. Like, just show me those videos. I'm like, yup, that guy's awesome. I was listening to something. I think it was the podcast you do with Kuiper and Field Yates a couple weeks ago. You mentioned something. It was kind of an offhand, thing you threw out there, that people think Ohio State's 40-yard dash at pro days is actually 38.5 yards. How do they get away with that? And what other schools are there things like that where it's like, here, watch the tape. The pro day is not as important, because you were expounding on it and basically saying the private workouts is actually what teams really trust. It's not the pro day.
Yeah, it's kind of a running joke in the league that the turf is very fast at Ohio State was the point of it, and the running joke is they run the 40-yard, they run a 38-yard dash for the 40 in Columbus. If you go back and look at all the numbers, all the wide receivers, even like Paris Campbell and guys you wouldn't expect, they're running in the 4.3s and low 4.4s. It's pretty amazing. But truth be told, I do think the turf is fast, but they also have unbelievable strength and condition. Like those receivers run great time. Like Garrett and Olave a year ago, Garrett Wilson and who was the offensive rookie of the year for the Jets, and Olave had a great year as a rookie. They both ran it in Indy. Indy's becoming like a 39-yard 40, by the way. I mean, we had defensive linemen. I mentioned Nolan Smith running a 4.39 as an edge rusher.
Yeah.
We had defensive linemen running consistently in the 4.4s and low 4.5s. Like, Indy used to be a notoriously slow track, and now it's gotten so fast with the new turf that agents are telling their guys, like, run here.
Right.
Forget running. You could have a windy day in Manhattan, Kansas, or anywhere in whatever your pro day is, but make sure you run at the combine. So, listen, it was a long-standing joke about Ohio State, but yes, like the importance of like the pro days are cute, they're fun, they're like it's good for TV. You get to see guys throw the ball, and this year the trend was throwing it up against hitting the top of the indoor facility. Last year it was rolling to your left and throwing against your body. Zach Wilson, went viral with his throw, and everyone tried to kind of copycat that. But ultimately, if I'm an NFL team, and I know NFL teams are like, they put a lot more emphasis on their private workouts because they're making sure they're running their route tree. They're installing certain plays. They want to see how quarterbacks react mentally as much as physically. So
yeah,
that's the background on it.
Another little hack that some scouts could use is we've been staying on the show for a couple of years, and we were lucky enough to talk to Kirk Goldsberry's coach at his class at the University of Texas, and they had a scout there from the San Antonio Spurs, and we've been saying for years that you need to measure a person's height up to their eyes because the rest of the forehead doesn't matter. That's wasted space from that point up. Because who cares if quarterbacks got a tall forehead? Well, I guess Peyton Manning throws off those numbers, but the point is get it up to their eyes because that's what really matters. That's where you see from. And the guy from the Spurs said, yeah, actually last year we started to do that. So some pro teams are actually just going up to the eyes. That needs to make its way to the NFL. I'm
writing it down. I'm putting my notes next year.
Yeah,
change the game.
Yeah,
measure to eyes.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's got tall eyes.
Yeah,
he's short, but his eyes are almost at the top of his head.
So he has a short forehead. Is that
short?
Yeah, he's like a 3 head.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Speaking of height, I'm curious because we've seen the evolution of the quarterback position. Drew Brees shorter than Kyler, Russell Wilson. Now we're sitting here and you go way 20 years ago or 30 years ago, Doug Flutie can't get a permanent job on the NFL roster, and he in today's age it feels like he would. Is Bryce Young, is his success going to make it so that we push this even further? Because he is an anomaly, is he not? Like in terms of just frame and body size?
Yeah, he's like a half inch shorter than Russell Wilson, and that was like the big deal. Russell fell to the 3rd round. Bryce Young's going to be the 1st overall pick. So it shows how much the game has changed since Russell Wilson.
Right.
And that wasn't that long ago, right?
Right.
Like he literally a 3rd round pick. And now and Scott Fitterer, the GM, was on that staff in Seattle when they picked Russell Wilson. And I truly believe part of the comfort level is like, we did it with Russell. We did it in the 3rd round. Why can't Bryce do it? The game has changed. It's so much more spread out. Quarterbacks are being more protected. And the biggest thing is with Bryce, like he processes faster than any quarterback I can remember coming out of college. Like and it's not just like from 1 to 2 to 3 with its progressions. It's like, and Kirk Herbstreit, I'll give him credit. He was the first one to say this. It's like watching Steph Curry. It's like when chaos is happening and everything, it's like, that's when it slows down for Bryce. It's when it slows down for Steph. And you see Steph with like all these moves, like everything's going so fast, and it's just like slows down, makes the pass, stops and drops for like, that's the same thing with Bryce. And I think that's what makes him different than everyone in this class. But I think in terms of like what it will do, more importantly, for guys that are able to protect themselves, and yeah, he missed a game last year. He had a shoulder injury, wasn't able to throw the ball for 3 weeks in practice until they had a bye week, and that it kind of freed him up. But other than that, he was durable at Alabama. And I think what you have to study is how guys protect themselves, how they get out of the way of big hits, how they fall. That's what Tua Tagovailoa is doing with jiu-jitsu, I guess, right now. Right. Trying to figure out how to fall, how to take a hit, and how your body is going to absorb contact better. And so I think to me, it's as much about the weight. He was at 204, but he's probably going to play at 195. can he actually stay healthy and on the field is going to be the big question. And if he does, then we're all going to study what has he done? How is it that he's able to do that? And for other guys that are coming up the ranks, do they have that same, do they have the same field vision? Do they have the same maneuverability, the same flexibility that he has? Those are the things that are going to be interesting. He's definitely a case study in and of his own, if you will.
Yeah.
Because we've had shorter guys before in recent years, Russell being the closest thing too. But we've never had a quarterback, especially going number one overall, never had a quarterback this short and this lean that's gone on to have success. And we've never had one drafted this high too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. You are a veteran of the mock draft game, one of the legends, one of the GOATs. Do you have a favorite mock draft that you've ever done, or your best mock draft that you ever put together? Do you remember like everything falling into line? You're like, yep, that's an A+ for Todd.
Oh, geez. I forget the year. I got the first 8 picks right, and I was like, I am rolling, man. And it was like my second or third year. I wasn't even on TV, unfortunately. I couldn't brag to anyone. No one wanted to listen. No one cared. Not that anyone really cares now. But I got the first 8 picks right. And I was like, shit, this is easy, man. Like, what's everyone so worked up about? Just 8 in a row. It was like 2002, 2003. Since then, it's been kind of downhill. You know
what you should do? You should do like, how Warren Buffett, every year he says he'll give $1 million if anybody gets the entire tournament correct. You should do like Win Todd's Millions. Todd McShay will award $1 million if your mock draft gets all 32 picks correct.
Because I'll never have to pay that.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's the trick.
I'll match. I'll match.
Yeah, and I'll double it, Todd.
Yeah.
I'm going to double it.
3 or 4 years ago, I think I had like 12 guys matched perfectly to player to that team. And I was better than everyone like by a long shot. But it was basically a third of the first round pick. So yeah, I'll do it right now. I will do it right now. I will offer $1 million cash. I don't have it sitting around, but I'll come up with it. I'll have to sell a house or something. $1 million cash right now to anyone that can prove that turns it in somehow, can give video evidence that they got all 32 picks right. I will give $1 million.
I love it. I love it.
I'm going to double it.
Yeah.
And Big Cat's going to match.
I'm going to match.
Okay.
I will match.
But you have to submit it before the draft.
Yes.
If you submit something that's like video evidence of you holding a newspaper or whatever afterwards, no. It has to be. I have to lay eyes.
You guys have like an email where people can submit them to?
This is a bad idea for the
Billy,
emails that we're
gonna get. They're not sending it to my email.
Yeah.
I think it was Billy Hot Takes.
Yeah.
Or Billy. What's Billy's email address?
Yeah, sure. Billy Hot Takes. It has to be submitted to him, otherwise it won't be eligible.
It's not official.
Yeah, it's not official unless it's submitted to Billy before the draft, and you can only get one submission.
And do we trust Billy?
No, that's the best part. We could just be like, oh, he never got anything, so we don't have to pay any money.
We're going to find out that Billy's uncle wound up getting a perfect mock draft.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, that's true. Has anyone, speaking of past mock drafts, has any player ever come up to you like in person and talk shit and been like, you were wrong? Like, look at how good I am?
Not in mock drafts. I've had plenty of guys come up. I mean, it was Brady Quinn's sister said she wanted to slap me while we were on the red carpet at the ESPY Awards one year. I've got a whole list. I've got a whole list of guys that have. Typically, it was when they would come to Bristol for their car wash day.
Yeah,
and either the agent or the player would say something. It's in my. We're doing this Zoom on my phone. I've got a list on my phone, but. Yeah, Brady Quinn was not pleased. Brady Quinn's contingent was not pleased. Jimmy Clausen was not pleased at all. I'm still waiting for Kuiper to retire.
Yeah,
by the way.
Yeah, he did not. Yeah, you know what? We won't give the $1 million if anyone gets perfect until Kuiper retires. That's also part of this deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because he has to. He said, what was the exact quote? Jimmy Clausen will be like a 10-year starter or something.
Todd, I promise you. I promise you, you can mark it down right now. If Jimmy Clausen doesn't go on to have a very successful career as a starter in the NFL, I will retire.
Oh, he's still waiting.
Almost verbatim.
Yeah.
He didn't say what year he would retire. Yeah.
He's a smart guy. Would you consider yourself to be a draft expert or a draft guru?
Analyst at best.
How do you attain the rank of guru?
I think 30 years, and you got to win the mock draft like one out of every 3 years, probably something like that. I don't know. I have not reached the status though.
Okay, you got to.
We'll give Kuiper guru.
Yeah,
I mean, he started the whole business.
Yeah,
he gets guru.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I saw, Todd, you had a beautiful propaganda piece in the New York Post today being like, oh yeah, Joe Douglas and I are best friends, but we never talk. That was really smart of you to throw that out there, get everyone off the scent. When is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Jet?
I'm going to guess.
Oh yeah, a guess. Go ahead. Yeah, do your guess.
When is this running? When is this
Wednesday.
Running? He will be a Jet by Wednesday.
Ooh. So
when this runs, Aaron, the only thing that could take away from that is if they decide they want to announce with the 13th and 15th pick, and I believe there's a chance as of when we're taping this, there's a chance that they could swap 13 and 15, but I think whether the Packers are on the clock at 13 or the Jets are on the clock at 13, depending on how that goes, that's when they could announce it. But by the time this airs on Wednesday, I will be shocked if the two teams have not agreed to terms on Aaron Rodgers going to the New York Jets.
I love it. And that's Todd McShay, best friend of Joe Douglas.
But I have not talked to Joe Douglas.
Yeah, no. Right. Read the New York Post. Never talks to him. They don't talk.
Nope.
They're just best friends.
We talk in June when we try to get together over the summer.
Right.
Yeah,
right. Of course.
I don't talk to my best friends either.
Yeah.
No.
Never.
Honestly, I mean, so much can happen, but there's confidence. There's confidence that it's going to get done. Let's put it that way.
I like that.
I'm curious. Just I like to assign like draft value for current players that are in the NFL right now. How much would Zach Wilson be worth in a trade? Could you get a 5th round, 6th round, 7th round pick for him?
Whew. I will go 5th. Yeah.
It's higher than I thought you'd say.
Who?
I'll go 5th round. I mean, it's only been 2 years. Injuries were part of the issue, but certainly there are other issues. But there's still talent there. You know, I would give a 5th. I would give a 5th to bring in Zach and give him a fresh start somewhere new. I would. Yeah. I'm interested to see how he handles Aaron Rodgers and how Aaron Rodgers handles him. Apparently, they have a decent relationship, and it could be the best thing that ever happens to him. Sit behind Aaron for 2 years and learn a lot.
Yeah.
And take from him and see if he can rejuvenate his career in a couple of years. And if not, then it's time to move on.
Yeah. I mean, he is bad,
but his ceiling is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, right. That would be the one counterpoint. He's bad at playing quarterback, which is his job.
Well, who would you rather have? Zach Wilson?
Give me options.
Or Christian Hackenberg?
I mean, obviously Zach Wilson.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hackenberg was an all-timer, man.
Yeah. I fell for the Hackenberg hype, too. Him and Ryan Mallett, Big Ten quarterbacks with huge arms. I was
big guys with big arms. It worked on Josh Allen, though.
Yeah,
you
true.
Keep swinging, man. Just take hacks.
Yeah, we do. We just only tell our winners, never our losers. Give us a player that maybe the regular national audience won't know, but you love. Whether it be a first rounder, maybe someone who's going to sneak into the first round, just a guy you love. You're putting your foot in the line in the sand, being like, this is my guy.
I love Kalijah Kancey from Pittsburgh. Everyone's talking about Jalen Carter, and they should. And if he turns out and plays at the level he can, he's going to be an absolute star. But Kalijah Kancey, he's not Aaron Donald. It's easy to make that comparison. He's short. He's undersized. He ran slightly faster than Aaron Donald did in the 4.5s, I think it was, just a ridiculous 40 time. And he comes from Pittsburgh, so easy comparisons there. But he is the most disruptive player not named Jalen Carter for interior defensive lineman. A lot of people are saying late first, could be early second. I think he goes in the top 20. So Kalijah Kancey is going to be an impact player. And another player that's catching steam recently, I talked to 7 guys in the league over the weekend, and I think 5 or 6 of them asked me about Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Alabama, And all the talk is about Bijan Robinson. Where's he going to go? He could go number 8 to Atlanta. Will Philly move back a little bit and take him from that 10 spot, maybe down 2, 3, 4 spots? Could he go to Detroit at 18? At 21 to the Chargers. Will Dallas move up from 26 to go get Bijan? All the talk's on Bijan, right? But there's going to be 2 running backs taken in the first round this year. So if you got one of those prop bets, and it's 1.5, I believe, take the over. It's going to be 2 in the first round. And Jahmyr Gibbs is an absolute stud. He's Alvin Kamara type.
Ooh,
Dalvin Cook. Like he's gonna get nicked up. He's not always gonna be starting for you, maybe 14 games a year, and maybe only 15, 17 touches a game, but he's so explosive that he's gonna be worth it.
Okay,
Can you give me a mystery team? Is there a mystery team lurking out there that might move up and take a quarterback that we haven't even thought about?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mentioned Seattle. I don't think Minnesota is going to move up from 23, but I do think that I think that if Hendon Hooker falls to them at 23, they could. I'm trying to think if there are any other mystery teams. I mean, Detroit would be an option if they don't take a quarterback at 6 from 18.
I'm hearing they're very happy with Jared Goff there. Very, very happy.
I concur.
Yeah, they are. They are, but how long is Jared Goff going to be their guy? And
forever.
If you have an opportunity with 2 first-round picks, maybe you take advantage of a cheap guy.
Yeah.
They're going to bury him in Detroit.
All right, so take Detroit.
Shout out Mike Posner. What about San Francisco?
No, I mean they've got Brock Purdy. Trey Lance, I think, is going to be moved, but everyone's saying at the draft or day 2 or whatever it is, I don't think that they're going to move Trey Lance until like the value is high. Like Trey Lance is going to miss some time this year coming off the injury. I would guess it's going to be like in season or maybe next off season if they wind up moving Trey Lance. And they brought in Sam Darnold too. And I know everyone laughs at Sam Darnold. He'll be with his 3rd team now. But Sam Darnold could listen. It doesn't take a ton of talent at the quarterback position when you've got all those weapons and all in that defense around you, and you've got the coaching of Kyle Shanahan to have success in that scheme. So I think Purdy and Sam Darnold are going to wind up being the guys this year.
Yeah.
I actually think this is the first year where, whenever the Ravens would draft, we would always say, like, that's a great Ravens pick. The Ravens get another A+ in the first round of this draft. They just
because Kuiper's from Baltimore, and he's Ozzie used to be his best friend. Now Eric DeCosta, the new GM's his best friend. There's a reason they get an A+ every year. Like they could go out and trip over themselves. They could miss a pick like Minnesota did 20 years ago. By the way, this is the 20-year anniversary of Minnesota just not turning in a pick. Yes. And Kuiper would still give him an A+.
Be like, great job. Ozzie gave him the hard count right there. Try to get him to jump off sides. We'll take the 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
I think the new team that does that is the 49ers. I think whoever the 49ers take in the first round this year, I'm going to be like, that's such a smart pick. Great job.
Well, you'll be waiting a while because they don't pick in the first round.
So there you go. Okay,
yeah,
so
great pick.
Whenever they make their first pick, I will be like, that is a perfect pick.
Yeah.
I think they pick at 36. They've got 3 picks in the top 50, but I think their first pick is at 36.
Okay. My mistake. That's why we have you on.
But
to tell you all that inside
you're going to be talking about pick 36, about it was the best pick so far in the draft, right?
Yeah. First round talent.
No, I got it.
Yeah. All right, Todd, I got one last question. This has been awesome. We appreciate it. It's a rowback question, rhoback.com. Use code TAKE, 20% off your first purchase. They got new shorts for the summer, Q-zips, polos, joggers, everything at rhoback.com. Promo code TAKE for 20% off your first purchase. I have to ask, because we have you on, are the Bears going to trade out of 9? Or if they don't, who should I be happy that they pick? I don't want them to take Bijan Robinson. What are you hearing? Just tell me.
They're not.
Okay. All right. So tell me, is it going to be Skoransky? Is it going to be trade? What's going to happen?
I think there are 3 names you should know. I do think they would trade out if one of these guys is not if 2 or 3 of these guys are off the board, or if they just get a really good deal. I'm told that Pittsburgh's a team that's looking to move up to go get an offensive lineman, but listen, they need defensive line and they need offensive line. I think if they get an option to move back, they possibly could. But I think Jalen Carter is option number 1, the defensive tackle from Georgia. If you get the most talented player at number 9 after trading out of that number 1 pick with DJ Moore and all the picks that they got, that's got to be a win, right?
Yep.
If it's not Carter, I'm actually told, like, Skoronski makes sense. I get it. I'm told Paris Johnson from Ohio State, the left tackle, could be a right tackle, is the guy that they're really looking at. Fits the traits that they want. And certainly, you know, if Justin Fields is going to be your guy moving forward, you got to protect him better. They've got to have a better offensive line. They've got to block better in the run game. So I think it's most likely they stay home, and it's either Jalen Carter or Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. I think Skoronski is a possibility, but he would be third on that list.
Okay, I feel good about it. The beauty of having a bad roster is any pick you can be like, well, that was need. So it's great.
I think they're going to turn things around pretty quickly.
I do too. They're back. I mean,
I think Ryan Poles is doing a really good job. I think they finally have direction. Like, they have a coaching staff that's working with their quarterback instead of against them. They have a general manager who gets it. I think that we're going to look back on this draft, getting DJ Moore, number one receiver, getting all these additional picks, solidifying the offensive and defensive line as much as they can. This will be kind of the foundation year. I'm not saying they're going to have like a Jets haul or a Seahawks haul from 2022, but we'll look back on this draft and say, you know what? This helped them get to the next level.
Yes, I like to hear that. It's going to be like that, the famous Steelers draft, whatever year that was, where they got like 5 Hall of Famers. That's what's going to happen this year. Feels good.
All right. I'm glad I could give you hope.
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate it. Well, Todd, thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping by. I did do my job. I texted you multiple times this year. I will do it again this year.
Yeah, about who's going to be the Wisconsin coach.
Yeah. Well, you told me.
We have a very defined relationship. What can I do for you?
Okay.
I'm here.
It's transactional.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna start just popping off and sending you pictures of my kids. That you just say you got that. You got that. Also, I'm gonna send you some coffee. So boom.
All right,
done.
I like that. I've started drinking coffee more this year.
Okay.
46 years later, I was a Diet Pepsi guy, Diet Coke, and then I learned aspartame. So I went to Diet Pepsi. But now I can't get past like 7 a.m. without a cup of coffee.
Yes.
I never used to drink it. Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
All right, I'm sending you coffee.
I get it now.
Yeah, it makes sense. This morning I actually made my pot of coffee, went to go pour it, just didn't put any of the coffee grounds in. So you need it. You need the stuff. Yeah. It was just hot water sitting in the pot, and I was like, God damn it. All right. Well, thanks so much, Todd. Good luck on Thursday.
You got it, guys. Always fun. I'll talk to you soon.
Todd McShay was brought to you by Cross Country Mortgage, our great friends at Cross Country Mortgage. Football players make football plays, but they also make plays off the field, like the experts over at Cross Country Mortgage. They're helping me out right now with my home purchasing process. It's been so easy. I get little messages. I get video messages from my lender, from the guy that I'm working with at Cross Country Mortgage. I get text message updates. I get emails. They're very communicative, and everything about filling out the loan process online has been super easy. They might not be doling out concussions or breaking bones, but they're dedicated to doing whatever it takes to get you into the home of your dreams. Cross Country Mortgage has a team of loan officers. They're dedicated to getting it done and finding you the best possible loan terms available. They have an average close time of 21 days. It's crazy fast. They've got a wide variety of loan types, which means they've got everything to cover everyone. They make it very easy to understand, too. They sent me a full breakdown, what my down payments could be, what the interest rates are going to be, monthly payments, all that stuff. They make it very easy for you to pick and choose and find the best rate. With huge variety of products, they cover everything from renovations to refis and everything in between. So go with the players that are going to make the plays for you when buying a home. Cross Country Mortgage is dedicated to getting it done for you. Get a rate quote, and CCM is going to send you some swag. Go to crosscountrymortgage.com/barstool. Cross Country Mortgage, LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. And Daniel Jeremiah is coming up next, and BetterHelp wants you to know that they're in your corner. They want you to get to know yourself, because that can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing, we're always changing. Therapy is about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we talk through things. As you guys know, I've been going through some tough times right now. I'm talking to a therapist. I spoke with one last week. I'm talking to a therapist again on Wednesday. It's helping me through some tough times. It can help you too. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. A lot of people use it. You're not alone in this. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/PMT today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/PMT. And now, here's Daniel Jeremiah.
Okay, we now welcome on our good friend. He is a draft guru. Well, actually, we can start there. It's Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network, Move the Sticks podcast. We have Todd McShay on this episode as well. We're doing all the draft talk. And I think PFT asked Todd McShay if he's a draft guru or what was the other option?
Guru, expert, or analyst.
Yeah. So which one are you?
Yeah, analyst, easy answer. Guru's kind of gross. Like that sounds kind of gross. Yeah. Expert is arrogant, and then analyst seems accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Dalai Lama, he kind of ruined the term guru recently. You don't want to be tied up in any of that stuff. But yeah, I think Todd said the same thing. I think he said analyst, and really, that's actually a very philosophical question because you acknowledge that you're not a guru, that might make you the truest guru of them all.
Ooh, yeah, that's like going 3 levels deeper than I was able to get.
Yes.
So that's solid.
Yeah, so it is draft week. We're diving into all the draft coverage. We've had extensive conversations with a couple people, but we want to get you on, see what your thought of everything is. So let's start big picture right now. We're sitting here. It's Tuesday, 2 days away. Has there been anything big that you've heard movement-wise in the last 24 hours that is surprising you, whether it be a quarterback, whether it be Jalen Carter? There's a lot of different, angles on this draft.
I think I've never seen so much conflicting information. Like, you talk to a lot of general managers, you talk to a lot of teams, you get in touch with the agents, see what they're hearing about their guys, all this kind of stuff. And it's just all over the place. So I think that's going to make for a good draft because we literally have no idea what's going to go on. But like just some of the stuff in the last 24 hours, I think Zay Flowers from Boston College can be the first receiver picked ahead of Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I think would surprise a lot of people. That was one. Jalen Carter, I literally had one GM text me and said, Schneider will not be afraid to take Jalen Carter at 5. And literally within 24 hours, another GM said, there's no way that Schneider's going to take Jalen Carter at 5. And I'm like, but what do I do with that?
Yeah.
So, it's all up in the air. And then the quarterback thing, I feel like Bryce is going 1. And then after that, all the noise away from Stroud at 2. On that one, I'm just going to kind of trust my gut and go back to what makes the most logical sense, and I'm just going to put Stroud to Houston.
That does make sense. We've had that same thought. So I do want to talk about Jalen Carter real quick because there is a lot of intrigue with him. The off-the-field stuff that everyone knows about. If you're sitting in a war room because you were a scout, forget the off-the-field stuff. His talent is immense. He's probably the most talented guy in the draft. But I have also heard he's not a self-starter. It's, the motivation things. How much does that play in when you're sitting in a war room and you're talking about this, and how much does that scare you off such a great talent like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you hear that, and I've heard that about, does he like football, is, the effort and all that kind of stuff wrapped up with all the off-the-field things. And I went back through my notes. I'm like, okay, where do I have that he was loafing or dogging it? And I'm like, I don't have anything like that. And then I'm like, okay, well, this guy knew if he didn't play it down this year, he was going to be a top 5 pick. He gets hurt the first week of the season with an ankle, comes back and plays, then gets a knee, and then came back and played at the end of the year. So I'm like, there's a lot of evidence saying this guy likes football and cares about it and plays hard, and he's a dominant player. Like, I'm 100% comfortable with who he is as a football player. It's just, whether you get to know him personally and feel like you can, feel good about where he is in other areas of his life. But the football, for me, I didn't have any questions.
I like that answer because I think that there's been now a story written about Jalen Carter and that he's not loving football, but you're telling me the tape that you watch and the fact that he's playing with injuries, it's completely contrary to what the popular belief has become.
And, look, and I'm in practice, maybe it's a little bit different. I talked to a coach on their staff, and I asked him specifically about this, and he was like, look, the days that he really wanted to go, he said, we couldn't do anything offensively. Like, they go ones against ones, they go best guys against best guys. Like, we couldn't do anything. Like that's how dominant of a football player he was. So maybe that reputation is born out of maybe a practice here or there, but everything I saw on the game tape, I didn't see any evidence of that.
It's also hard for big guys to practice just in general.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Question.
It's the anonymous scout.
Yeah.
There's an anonymous scout on the loose. I feel like it's been a few years since we had a good anonymous scout just blowing up somebody's reputation before the draft. And it's probably just leaked out there hoping that Jalen Carter will fall a couple spots further than there's one team that's like, we just got to get him past Seattle and then we're going to step up and grab him. So that whenever I hear all that stuff like that's anonymous coming out before the draft, I always assume it's just like a GM trying to put out a smokescreen.
My favorite thing about the anonymous scout thing is when I was in the league, it used to be, because in seeing it from the media side of things, they always say, hey, if you can't identify the person, like let's just get as much information out there as you can. So like say I'm working in Baltimore, a report would come out, an anonymous AFC North scout, and you're like, oh crap, they're gonna think it's me. I promise it wasn't me. Everybody, we text all our buddies with the Steelers and the Bengals and the Browns. Well, maybe not the Bengals because they only have a couple scouts, but the rest of the three of us would text each other about like, oh, it's you, huh? You're the anonymous, anonymous guy.
Do you think you got your reputation as being a great talent evaluator because Mel Kiper is a Baltimore Ravens fan, so after every draft he would be like, man, the Ravens really killed this one, and you'd be like, yeah we did, great job us.
The Baltimore ties. No, I think it worked out well that we had a lot of good drafts, and then Mel happened to be from Baltimore, so maybe he amplified the message. That's the way I would look at that one.
So one last thing about Jalen Carter, and this is more like big picture when you're talking and you're analyzing these guys. Is there something in the scout room, in the war room, where you say, if a guy's so talented, yeah, maybe he doesn't try practice all the time. Like, is that okay? Because I feel like some of these guys, especially big guys, it's like, yeah, why do they have to go 100 all the time when they can turn it on for game tape? They're not a guy who's trying to make a roster. They have that talent. They know when to push the pedal and when to hit the brakes.
Yeah, it's a conversation we had in Baltimore with Elodie Nada because there was a lot of talk about him, and you could see it with him on tape. And what people didn't realize is this is like the beginning of the Oregon offense where they were running, fast pace. So, and people didn't pay attention to the fact that Elodie Nada was playing every snap. He's playing like 85 snaps at 340 pounds. And then, you're in college where it's bubble screen right and left. He's having to chase those things all day long. And so, yeah, he's not going to be able to go. There's going to be plays where he just stands there and does nothing because the guy's tongue is at his waist. So I think with big guys, you have to take that in. You have to factor that in. But the NFL practice, the other side of it is NFL practice is 1,000 times easier than a college practice.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting. You talked about C.J. Stroud and the Texans a little bit earlier. There has been some movement this morning, though. Will Levis, in terms of the odds makers, he's gone way up in terms. I think he's the favorite to be drafted second overall. I think he's like, I want to say it's like plus 600 or something like that. So Will Levis, something's happened in the last 12 hours where somebody has put some money on Will Levis to move up. Have you heard any of that at all? Do you think there's any credibility to that?
I don't. To me, Indianapolis has been the team I've connected to him, and a lot of people believe it'll be Indianapolis with him. I would be shocked, stunned, astonished if the Texans took him at 2. I don't see that happening. That would blow my mind if they did that. And then at number 1, I saw his odds went up there with number 1. I mean, I felt like that decision feels like it's been made.
Right.
So I don't see either one of those. Not to me, like Will Levis comes into play maybe at 3. Maybe, I know Arizona wants to trade out of 3, and everybody, pegs the Colts as the Will Levis team. So maybe there's somebody likes Will Levis, Tennessee, somebody like that wants to come up to 3. But I can't see him going 1 or 2.
Yeah, I've got the numbers right in front of me right now. He went from 50-1 to 5-1 overnight to go second overall.
Yeah.
That's a crazy movement at the last second here.
Yeah, and to me, I think the way that would happen would be if there was a trade. I do not think Houston takes him at 2. So if somebody wants to come up and Houston goes back, then Levis goes 2. But that's the only way I see that happening.
So dovetailing off that is we talked to Todd about this, and I'm of the mindset that the Texans would be insane to not draft a quarterback with a high pick this year. If they do move back, maybe they still move back in the top 10. Top 7, and they end up getting a quarterback that way. But am I wrong to think that it's totally nuts to not take a quarterback if you have the opportunity to draft second overall and you're the Houston Texans?
I've been singing it from the mountaintops. It doesn't make any sense to me logically, and that's why I can hear all the buzz and all the chatter, and people swearing that they're not going to take Stroud. And I just keep coming back to the same three names. Like, you're really going to run this back with Davis Mills, Case Keenum, and EJ Perry? Like, you're ushering in a new coach. You're trying to get some excitement in the organization, the fan base. I've been there a couple times with the Chargers the last few years, and it's not a great game day atmosphere right now. And it used to be awesome when they were rolling. It used to be a great place. Now it was just kind of there was no life in the building.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is you get a young quarterback, and you give a team and a fan base some hope. And I don't know the whole we'll take somebody at 2. And then we'll wait for a quarterback at 12, or maybe we'll trade back up. Like, getting cute, people always talk about that stuff. It never happens. Like, if you believe in Daniel Jones at 17, you end up taking him at 6. That's the way that usually goes down. So it doesn't make any logical sense for me for them not to take a quarterback at 2.
How do you have your quarterbacks ranked? Top 5.
So I have it. If you looked at it kind of like tiers, I have Bryce by himself. I thought he was clearly the best one. A little bit of a gap, then Stroud. And then a gap again, and I think it's literally a coin flip with Levis and Richardson. I think they're both wild cards. I think the odds are one of them's probably going to end up being really good, and one of them's going to be a bust. And I don't have a strong belief or feeling in that either way. Probably going to be dependent on where they go. But to me, I thought the number 1 and number 2, I thought those was a clear cut 1 and 2.
Just from a analysis standpoint, what would be the breakdown of on-field play versus ceiling? Because that's kind of what that discussion comes down to with Will and Anthony Richardson, is the tantalizing ceiling versus what we saw them do on Saturday. So how do you guys judge that in the room?
Well, I think about it just like it's a journey of where they could ultimately get, and so you have to be able to decide where they are, have the discussion about where they are now, and then how far they have to go and how far they can go. So I think it's a pretty fluid conversation, and when you're going through that, and I just think the way I'd explain it is Will Levis is he's further along in his journey than Anthony Richardson, but he doesn't have as far to go. I mean, Anthony Richardson could go way past Will Levis. There's so much more there with him. To be honest, if Anthony Richardson had the same exact tape, but had played 23 games instead of 13 games, I probably would have that flipped. But the sample size to me is what bothers me, because the track record of guys with that limited number of starts is not great. That's what scares me about Anthony more than anything that I saw on the tape.
Yeah. If a quarterback or a player in general, you could say has all the traits and they check all the boxes, but they're a little bit raw, and you need them to develop at the next level. Are there any traits that you look for that you would say, okay, this guy, he's got what it takes to continue to mature, like the mental side of his game?
Yeah, I think that's the key. So if you look at guys that came out that were raw coming out of college, that weren't finished products, the recent guys that have been big hits, everybody's going to point to Mahomes and to Josh Allen. And those guys had work to do to continue to develop. Mahomes was just raw. I mean, it was like screens and scrambles at Texas Tech, obviously the huge arm. But just kind of dialing in his footwork a little bit. And then Josh, had to clean some things up. He's kind of overstriding, which impacted his accuracy. He was too aggressive because his team wasn't any good, so he got into some bad habits there. But the thing the lesson you take from it is those guys are both incredibly smart. Their work ethic was off the charts coming out, and you just bet on those guys. So if you have all the talent and then you're intelligent and you have the work ethic to go along with it, that makes it a lot easier to bet on those guys. That's why it's hard on this side of it. With Anthony Richardson, I've heard it's good. I've heard he's smart. I've heard he's a good worker. But teams that get to spend a lot of time with him are going to have an even better feel on that. And I think that's where your conviction comes from.
Billy's got a question, a rare Billy question.
I was just wondering, what's your opinion on going from the Wonderlic to this new S2 cognition test? Bryce Young scored amazingly on it. What do you know about the test, and why have teams gone to this new cognition test?
Good question.
Yeah, I had been talking about this over the summer because I love baseball, and I had heard talking to some of my buddies, actually a GM in baseball was telling me about how they've done this test for a long time and wanted to know if it was starting to catch on in the NFL. I'd literally never heard of it as of this summer. So he was explaining it to me, and it said, look, it's been very accurate with baseball, because if you think about how fast you have to process the release point, the spin, the location of a pitch. Like I can't imagine how fast you must think and process to hit a 98 mile an hour baseball. So it had been a big part of their scouting process. And then in talking to some NFL teams, I found out, okay, yeah, there's I think half the league has been using this for the last 5 or 7 years or so. And they're still in the process of trying to get enough data to know what positions it matters and the relevance of it. But it seemed to be over the summer, they were saying that quarterback, that there's been a correlation between how they do on this S2 test and how they do in the NFL. And they said, the way it was explained to me, there's guys that have scored really well on it that have been bad players, but there haven't been players that have bombed it and been good players. So it was kind of like a gateway to kind of through the evaluation process. So that's how I understood it. And the way it was explained to me was, it's like on a computer, and there's all these different areas that they try and evaluate you. One of the explanations was you might have 6 shapes that pop up on the screen, and one of them's different. Like how fast can you identify the different shape, things like that. It was enough to scare me off of ever wanting to take it. I can tell you that much.
I would love to get my hands on that, actually. I would like to put Hank through the S2 cognition test if we could.
Did you?
If you work for S2, get in touch with us. We'd like to do business with you.
So do you think CJ Stroud's 18 out of 100 isn't going to affect his draft stock at all?
That was something I think with the teams that have all the historical information would have a better answer for you on that one. I just know, I always looked at like tests with whether it used to be the Wonderlic or whether it was the athletic tests. I wanted to see something that was different than what I saw on the tape. And then that would allow you to do more work. That's the way I always looked at that. But like when I watched Stroud, I go back through my notes. I didn't have any questions about him processing. I didn't have any questions about him getting stuck. You see some guys, you can literally see it. It's like they're frozen. Like they'll get through number one in their progression, and then he's not there, and you'll see him freeze and they're stuck. I didn't have any notes like that. So it would have been more personally to me if you heard, okay, he had done poorly on one of these things, and then, oh gosh, well that matches up with that one little question that I had on him. That would be a red flag, but I didn't have that.
What about some of the non-quarterbacks? What about the tight end position? Because we've heard about Dalton Kincaid, right? And he's the presumed first tight end taken. But I've also heard, and this might be a gambling thing, but Mayer has been moving up.
Well, I've had Kincaid as my top guy just because of, where you put your value in the tight end position. Like to me, I'm going to lean more towards a guy who can make plays, somebody who's going to be a little bit more friendly in the passing game, and I'll sacrifice a little bit of the run game stuff. Mayer's a better inline blocker than him. He's just more physical. So he's more of a traditional, Y tight end, hand in the ground, old school tight end. And he's going to fit every team. Like every team in the NFL can use Michael Mayer, and he'll be able to play and have a nice, solid career. I think with Kincaid, you just get way more upside in the pass game, and you live with him as a run blocker. But, the way the game's set up right now, I want my tight end to be more of a friend of the quarterback than the running back.
How much does conference matter when you're analyzing these guys? Because Texas Tech obviously has a defensive player that is mocked to go as high as 3, some people are saying, in Tyree Wilson.
Yeah.
Even 2 with D'Amico Ryans. He's fits him. McShay was saying kind of the Bosa mold. But it has been, I believe it was like 9 years since the last time a top 10 Big 12 defensive player has been selected, Justin Gilbert, who wasn't good in the NFL.
Yeah.
So does that weigh into it at all, where you're like, hey, Big 12 just doesn't produce top-end defensive talent. Why are we overthinking this and taking a guy who plays in the Big 12?
I think it does. I think teams are lying if they say it doesn't. I thought you were going to go back to Zach Thomas, to like the last Texas Tech great defensive player. I'm sure there's somebody in between those two, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I like him a lot. I like him a lot as a player, but where I would say that school thing comes into play is if you give the same grade to Will Anderson as you gave to Tyree Wilson, and then you're in the room and somebody is a Tyree Wilson guy and they're going to talk about how he's taller, he's longer, he's a little more athletic. And then my comeback in that room would be, yeah, I've seen Will Anderson play against NFL players for 3 years, and he's dominated in that conference. And literally you go back and you watch the cut-ups. Like last week, I went back and watched some of his production from previous years, and it was like, oh yeah, there's Jamari Sawyer. He started like 14 games at left tackle in the NFL last year, and it's just one player after another. You're like, oh, NFL player. Like that has to factor in. I think it makes it the evaluation I think you eliminate some of the low end floor of a player when you see him play there. And talking to baseball buddies on the baseball side of things, like the SEC baseball, they said is like the equivalent of AA baseball.
Right.
So they treat that totally different than if you're a player that's you're playing at some other college,
Like
some other
Hofstra,
conference.
yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think you have to factor that in. I think you'd be dumb not to.
What about going off of that, and we know we have all these like draft cliches, like the Steelers will always get great wide receivers. They seem to be able to nail that. What about the reverse? What schools are you like, this position they just do better than everyone else? We've heard a lot about Ohio State wide receivers and how they get coached up. Is there a certain school, or you could go conference, where you're like, you know what, if we pick this guy at this position from this school or conference, there's a pretty good chance he'll be a good pro?
I always felt, and in teams I worked with, we always felt, if you get guys that's offensive linemen that started in the Big Ten for 40 games, they might not ever be a great NFL player, but they're going to play because they're all going to be smart and tough. And you can play with them. They might not be elite players, but those guys hang around. They play for a decade. So Big Ten offensive lineman's always been a thing. You go to tight ends like Iowa. You get a tight end from Iowa. They've had a heck of a run at that position. So that would be another one. Trying to think of who else. What other ones would be out there? The interesting one is going through some of the notes getting ready for this draft. Like Penn State, I don't think they've ever had a corner drafted in the first round, or it's been like a million years since they've had a corner drafted in the first round. So it does kind of work both ways, where you see some trends. USC's been actually a wide receiver school over the last 15 years or so. They've had a ton of wideouts.
I feel like Washington has had a lot of good defensive backs too.
Yeah.
Yes. And I would say Utah's had a lot of good secondary players. They've had a ton of like safeties that have come out. Another school, Cal has like a weird number of They have like 6 safeties in the NFL from Cal, and obviously they haven't been good.
Right.
Cal has not been good, but somehow they've figured the safety thing out. There's
That's
a bunch
interesting.
of them.
Also, we should mention LSU, DBU. I know that there was a lot of conversation about that, about Texas. No, it's LSU. LSU is DBU. This is a take I've been mulling over. I think I'm ready to finally unveil it and discuss it publicly, but it's been bubbling for the last couple of years. And this year, I looked at the 40-yard dash times for defensive linemen, because these guys are freaks, right? We had 5 guys run beneath a 4.5, the fastest being Nolan Smith of Georgia. He ran a 4.3940. Is it possible that defensive linemen can become too fast?
Ooh. That's interesting.
Over pursue?
With
From
wideouts, we have that conversation with wideouts, because if you're going 4.3, to gear down and stop and change direction, it's a lot. Like you want to be just fast enough, but not
John
too
Ross.
fast.
John Ross.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've seen Ted Ginn. Like you could go through a lot of those guys who it's hard for them to gear down. And with a lineman, get off is still everything. So the 40, I wouldn't even really look into that, because you still want to just see, can they explode like as a defensive lineman. But I guess, to me, they're never going to get up to a top enough speed where they wouldn't be able to turn the corner. They're turning the corner within 8 yards.
I was just thinking, you could over pursue and leave a big gap that could be exploited in the running game. So if you have a defensive end that's running, he's coming down the line of scrimmage, could over pursue, boom, the backside's open for a cutback, or a tackle would know this guy is a speed demon. He's going to be getting around me. And so, just on a natural pass rush, he leaves that side of the field open as well. Now, it's interesting that you brought up the wide receivers, because I was thinking that as a quarterback, you probably would like your receivers to be running in the same neighborhood of quickness, so that you don't have to adjust your timing, your throws, depending on which guy you're throwing it to. It can't be all over the map. You can't have like one slower guy and then 2 faster guys. Again, these are the stupid takes that I spend too much time.
These are good theories. About. No, these are good theories.
There might be a small kernel of truth in there.
So the receiver thing is actually, I think it's really interesting, because when I was in Baltimore, Brian Billick used to always talk about, we want to build a basketball team. So you want to have one, a bigger receivers like your power forward, then a smaller, quick guy be your point guard. Like he wanted different skill sets and different sizes. And that's been a philosophy of a lot of the league. McVay and Shanahan have kind of changed that a little bit, where they wanted all their guys to be interchangeable. Like if you look at the receivers the Rams have had from, look at Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, like those guys are all interchangeable. The one time they went outside that. They're like, okay, well, maybe we get Allen Robinson, like kind of that more physical power forward. It didn't work. He didn't fit. So it's, and now obviously the Shanahan McVay tree's going all over the NFL, and that's been, hey, let's get guys that we can put any of them in any spot, and it allows us to run our offense that way. And I would think, to your point, as a quarterback, I've got all similar guys that are going to be really, really efficient route runners. They're not going to be stiff. They're not going to be straight line over the top speed guys. I would think it makes life a little easier on them. So I think you really stumbled onto something with that one.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll bill you.
All right. Give us a team that you think could be like a disruptor in the first round, that they might – you've heard rumors that they might be moving up, or they might even – a team that will trade back. I know the Cardinals really want to trade back. But what are your disruptor teams lurking out there?
Well, I mean, we talked about the Rams. The Rams picked 36, I believe. The Rams haven't been anywhere close to the first round in a very long time, and it's almost like they have not been invited to the first round party for several years. And I feel like their car is parked right outside the house. And I would not be surprised if they, we can get in. Let's go. Let's move up. They have tons of picks. They have a zillion mid-round picks. So maybe that we get to finally see the Rams pick in the first round. That would be a disruptor.
Ooh, I like that one.
My prediction on that is when do the Patriots pick?
The Patriots are 14.
They're 14th. So Belichick loves to just trade back and accumulate fifth-rounders. He would like to build the entire draft out of fifth-rounders if he could. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't think that they're going to pick at 14. Do you think that's a realistic scenario?
Yeah, everybody in that range wants to trade back. It's just a matter of anybody's going to come up. So they've got to find a partner. But what if our thing came together? What if somehow the Rams traded with the Patriots? Yeah. Then, I mean, how do we celebrate that?
If we call our shot on that?
Yes. Like, that's a pretty bold shot.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I think Hank should have to get a cat.
Yeah.
I think he would love that.
Okay,
yeah.
Hank gets a cat. Nah, man, that's good.
What is one player that you have that you are, like, in love with, and maybe everyone's not talking about? Could be, give me an offensive and defensive player, so two players that this is Daniel Jeremiah's, like, line in the sand, this is my guy.
Yeah, there's been two guys through the whole process for me. So Devin Witherspoon, the little corner from Illinois.
Yep.
I just loved him from the first time that I watched him. So he's my fifth overall player. He started out as like my sixth player. So he's been there for me the whole time. He's just so feisty and tough. I think that's like the trait in corners. If you look at bust rates and guys that haven't worked out, a lot of times it's not because they weren't fast or fluid or they couldn't play the ball. A lot of times because they just weren't competitive and tough and feisty. Like, he has all those traits. So I loved him. And then offensively, it was Kincaid. So the first time I watched Kincaid I think it was like the Thursday night game against USC. And he had like 16 catches for over 200 yards. And I was like, they cannot stop this guy. And then I dug into the tape, and I thought, oh my gosh, I see Kelsey twice a year doing the Charger games. And you never want to, I don't want to compare him to Kelsey, but the ability to just get away from people at the top of his route that Kelsey does, that just is incredible. I think he's got some of that to him. So those would be the two guys that I love.
That game was just further proof that playing at Utah at night is not fair, because I remember USC in the first half, it was still sunny out and they were killing them. And then the sun set and Utah just absolutely murdered them in the second half. You're like, oh, this is what it's like here.
Yeah, no, that's not a friendly place to play. I remember going up there to scout Eric Weddle, like back in the day, and going to a night game. And this was when they were Mountain West, and it was a great atmosphere, man. One of like kind of the underrated college football atmospheres.
And there's always smoke in the air. I feel like they let off fireworks and it just lingers the whole second half. And you're like, what the hell is going on here? Why are they playing through smoke? It's incredible. I love watching games there.
There's another quarterback out there that was projected to go a lot higher, Hendon Hooker, but he tore his ACL. Yeah. I guess a two-part question. One, where do you think he would go if he hadn't torn his ACL? And two, do you think it's still a lock that he's drafted in the first round?
Well, I don't think it's a locked into the second part. I don't think it's a lock he goes in the first round. I think it's a coin flip. There's teams that really like him, but it's hard to see that many guys go in the first round. So I would not be shocked if he did or if he didn't on if he does. I would say if he stayed healthy through the process, he'd have been a lock, and probably would have been a top 15 pick the way he was trending, the way he was playing. the three concerns with him, the three knocks on him. Yeah, obviously the age was one of them, the injury and the offense that he played in. And I think the injury teams that I've met or talked with that have met with him and done the full workup cleared him, said he's going to be fine. They're not concerned about the injury. The offense, kind of that simplistic Tennessee offense, where the old Baylor offense, where they spread you sideline to sideline. The teams that have brought him in and met with him and put him on the board and watched tape with him said he's really smart. They think he'll be able to adjust and pick it up at the next level. So that wasn't a concern. And the age, you can't do anything about the age. It is what it is. But I think he would have been a lock to be a top 15 pick, maybe a top 20 pick at worst.
Is the age thing changing a little bit for quarterbacks now the quarterbacks are protected more, or was it always just a maturity thing, like they have less growth? Because like Joe Burrow obviously was old. He's been phenomenal. Kenny Pickett was old. He had a great rookie year. Is that shifting a little bit? Because I'm always curious about the shift of how you guys analyze even small quarterbacks. Like Bryce Young 20 years ago, no one would have touched him. And now it's like, hey, this guy is phenomenal for what he does. He's small. But so how does that slowly shift over time, how you guys view these things?
Well, I think it's totally shifted. Number one, it used to be the age was a huge asset when you get a younger player like that. And then I think what you've seen is that the bust rate of the younger guys has been much higher than the older guys. You're better off taking a Justin Herbert, who's played a ton of college football, than maybe, obviously Trey Lance, what we've seen early with him, just didn't have a lot of play time. So I think the age thing is not as big an issue as it used to be. And then from the size standpoint, I argued with some teams about this because there's still some old school thought about Bryce and how, he's just physically not going to hold up. So I was curious. I went back and watched like every time he got hit. I was able to sort the video and watched every time he got hit last year at Alabama. And I don't have the number in front of me, but I think it was 18. I counted 18 times he got hit. It would have for sure been a penalty, possibly a fine, and maybe even a suspension. Like if this was in the NFL, the way they let them hit him in the SEC, like it was the Thunderdome. And there was not even penalties, like nothing. I'm talking like helmet to helmet, drive him into the ground, nothing. I'm like, he's going to be more protected in the NFL than he is in the SEC, hands down. And they're like, well, I still think, with his frame, he ended up missing a couple games. I'm like, yeah, well, go back and look last year. How many starting quarterbacks of the 32 made it the full 17? Like, you should go into the year assuming that your starter's probably going to miss 2 games. Right. The majority of them do.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Answer, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about how the rules and the way the game's officiated makes a huge difference with the quarterback play. My last question for you is regarding Baltimore. So you're plugged in Baltimore. Is there any chance something happens with Lamar Jackson during the draft?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty complicated. If it were to happen, I think that'd be tough to pull off like in the middle of the draft. So I would be surprised if he's not there. To me, the thing that makes the most sense, not having any information from inside the building, but just for them to kind of go forward, it makes sense to give him a little sugar over what he's already making. And, they gave him that low tender, give him a couple $1 million extra as kind of like a peace offering, just to make sure that he goes, he shows up on time for training camp. And then, maybe part of that agreement is they agree not to franchise him or something like that, So it seems like there's a short-term compromise if they can't reach a long-term agreement.
Okay. My last question, I saw you did a Reddit AMA, which that was stupid of you. But you had a couple questions that weren't answered. One I'm going to re-ask and one I'm going to give you a tip on. So we're going to give you a tip on how to deal with the internet. You told us a lot about the draft. The one of them you didn't answer was what was the worst smelling prospect that you ever encountered? That's that's kind of a fun question. That has to be part of it, right? Like if a guy smells, maybe if he smells really bad, he's got that dog in him though.
Or maybe it was just Chris Long because he came out of a little wake and bake.
Yeah, could have been. And the other one, if you have an answer for it, I don't know if you have an answer.
I'd like to know.
Worst smelling prospect.
Or if you want to go best smelling.
I was trying to remember who it was. I want to say it wasn't the smell, but it was at the weigh-in there early in the morning, and this is going back a million years ago. And now he's a coach, and he's done a nice job. But Dave Ragone was easily the most disheveled person I've ever saw at a weigh-in. Coming out of Louisville, like he had literally, it was like the most amazing bedhead that you've ever seen. So that was one that stood out. But he might have just put deodorant on in lieu of combing his hair. So I don't know how he smelled.
That's good. And then the last thing is a tip for you. So if you ever go on the internet and have people ask you questions, you're always going to get the question ass or titties. You need to just answer every time like we answer a woman's mind. So just say that. It's an easy one. You just be like, nope, the brain actually is what I'm attracted to. It's great too because the person asks the question and there's just a bunch of people underneath being like, he's not going to answer that, dude. You walked into it. Yeah, brain. The brain.
Or the bank account.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, Daniel, Jeremiah, thank you so much. Look forward to watching on NFL Network. It's always fun catching up with you. So much. We love the draft. We love what you do. Thanks, so you put in a ton of work, and appreciate you always coming on.
You guys are great, man. I thought you were going to hit me with the hot dog sandwich thing or whatever, but what is that? Why were they still doing that?
I don't know. Past that.
Was over.
We always say if somebody asks you that question on the internet, they're a cop.
Yeah, and it's also it's those, and then people who will like go online and just be like, bacon's overrated, and you're like, okay, dude, we know what you're trying to do here. Just stop.
Yeah. Come on, we gotta be smarter than that. I like that.
Yes.
Like that.
All right. Well, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Yep. Good luck.
I appreciate you guys.
Daniel Jeremiah was brought to you by C4. You guys know I love C4. That's my morning breakfast. Breakfast of champions. Get a C4 in your body, then go hit the gym. C4 Performance Energy provides explosive energy you can feel with clinically studied carnosine, beta-alanine, and 200 milligrams of caffeine for enhanced endurance, all with zero sugar and zero artificial flavors. We have C4 right here in the studio. We take it before we work out. We've been doing some bench recently. We've been doing some pull-ups. We've been doing some biceps, triceps, everything in between, and we're always ripping C4 before we do. Workout doesn't start until you've had your C4. It's also NSF certified, making it tested and certified professional and collegiate athletes. C4 Performance Energy is powering the next generation of NFL stars, like this year's top draft picks, C.J. Stroud and Bijan Robinson, giving them that secret sauce of true next-up energy. CJ and Bijan have been using C4 Performance Energy for years as the performance fuel behind their on-field dominance. It's their go-to choice as they level up into their NFL careers. Get C4 Performance Energy, the yellow can, at c4energy.com, Amazon, and retailers nationwide. C4 Performance Energy, energy that you can feel.
Okay, let's finish up with Jimbos, the return of Jimbos. Also, Jake, you have Rick Pitino's number. Can you call him, please?
Yes, I will give it a go.
So, PFT, you think he didn't change his number?
I personally don't think that he did.
What a move.
He's got too many recruits in there.
Yeah. And probably Rico. Oh.
Your call cannot be completed.
It temporarily deactivated. That's
that.
Shockingly short call.
Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah. We tried. We didn't play it out all the way. Could have gone on. Play it out again. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Ready? Go.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again. No es posible.
Oh, no, you got to let the Spanish go.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
God damn it.
Here we go. Ready?
We're timing it.
Yeah, come on.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again. No es posible realizar la llamada tal y como se marcó el número. Favor de verificar el número y márquelo de nuevo. Message to US01LV.
19 seconds.
All right, we're making progress.
Yeah. We love Rick Pitino. He's going to come on the show.
Yeah, he will. He'll come on. He'll definitely come on.
Oh, we already did that. All right, Jimbos. Oh, Max sitting in the power seat.
Fuck.
Don't worry, Hank is here for the lottery ball. See if he gets it.
I took an edible on Friday. 30 minutes later, it really kicks in. I go and pour a Ciroc coconut drink into a 26-ounce water bottle. Probably a $15 drink. Set it on the kitchen counter, go to move my MacBook, and dump the entire drink on the computer and kitchen floor. While cleaning up, I have to get orange juice for my kid that is going to bed.
Wait, Jesus Christ. Father?
You got to time this better, buddy.
With my kid that is going to bed with mom, and I'm so high that I managed to dump the entire bottle of orange juice on the same kitchen floor.
Oh, no.
My wife walks in after hearing the commotion, looks at all this, and just says, "Are you okay?"
Is this guy Mr. Bean? That's one of the situations where you're so high and you realize you've gotten yourself into a situation where you have like 5 errors that you have to clean up in a row, and that is the absolute worst.
Yes. By the way, we did a terrible job. I did a terrible job of introducing this. For longtime listeners, they know what we're doing right now. Jimbos are started with Jim Tom Sula when he's like, when you should have thrown a pass and you ran the ball instead. That's a Jimbo. So he called his own fuck-ups Jimbos. So we should do this back in the day. Fuck-ups, we figured because Max slept in his girlfriend's roommate's bed, that was a Jimbo.
You slept
Correct.
with your roommate's girlfriend.
Yeah.
You slept with your girlfriend's roommate.
I fell asleep with my.
You slept
No,
with
no,
her.
no,
Yeah.
you slept
This
with
is
her.
the no-hitter debate all over
You
again.
slept with her.
No.
Did you sleep?
No.
Were you sleeping?
No.
Were
Yeah.
you
You slept
sleeping?
with her.
She was sleeping. You were sleeping. You slept with her.
I fell asleep.
Yeah. So
With
what,
her.
so what do you call
With
it
her.
if you went to sleep last night? What did you do?
I fell asleep.
Gandhi did
Yeah.
something similar.
What do you do?
Well,
He just slept with them. Nothing else.
Got it.
this next one starts off whatever.
You're so flustered.
This past week, I was staying at my girlfriend's house one night, and we went out and got pretty drunk that night. I woke up in the morning to myself actively pissing the bed. Thank God she was already up getting ready in the bathroom to leave for the afternoon, giving me a chance to hide it for the moment and then time to wash the sheets all afternoon. I finished putting the clean sheets back on about 5 minutes before she got home. Bullet dodged.
All right, PGIT. This is another thing I haven't brought up on this show in a long time, but it's important to refresh people's memories. I had a similar situation, and I think a lot of people out there have in the past, where they've gotten up in the middle of the night after drinking and you're peeing somewhere that you're not supposed to pee. Or you wake up the next morning, maybe an alarm clock is covered in pee, maybe your keyboard might be covered in pee. Things happen from time to time. So what I started doing, I would just, while I was sober, and maybe as I was starting to drink on a weekend, I would just repeat to myself the mantra of PGIT, which is a helpful acronym to remember P goes in toilet.
PGIT.
So that way you're working on it, and it's buried in your subconscious that every time you pee, you're saying to yourself, let's make sure this is toilet, PFT. It's a helpful tip, and I never peed anywhere besides the toilet, besides that, unintentionally. So it worked for me. Hopefully it'll work for you guys out there too. Just start saying, when you're sober, every time you pee, if you think you might find yourself in this situation, PGIT, PGIT, PGIT.
I just love that this guy actively was pissing when he woke up. Like, whoa, what the fuck? What are you doing, dude? Like, you just pissed at your own penis? You're like, God damn it, man. We couldn't have waited a couple seconds.
Got a mind of its own.
Fuck up for the week. I work at a bank and had a client I was working with and needed some assistance. The business was named Community United Methodist Church. I sent out an email. I sent an email out to a few coworkers with the subject line, "Need help with comm." In my head, it didn't even cross my mind that it was anything but an acronym for Community United Methodist.
Oh, man.
I always thought that Patino was a Catholic.
I'm gonna get a text from this show. I feel like this happens though in work where you just, you know what you got to do is you just got to reverse it and be like, if you thought it was anything else, you're the dirty mind. Like, get your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah, that's true. They probably, if you're receiving an email from a church and it has that in there, you read it and you're like, whoa, and then you see, oh my God, this is probably coming from a squeaky clean type person who I'm the bad guy in this situation.
They're not even thinking about it. They made that church name before cum even existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next, I bought a new bike lock and was in my car trying to open it with a big folding knife. And I said to myself, this is probably really dumb.
Oh, no.
And then my hand slipped and I stabbed the fuck out of my finger and had to go get stitches and a tetanus shot.
Dude, is there nothing worse than the moment before the moment where you're like, this is a really stupid thing, and then you just keep doing it. Like, there's no worse feeling when you have that like out of body experience. You're like, don't jump off this thing. This knife is sharp, and you have your thumb in the way. I did that a few months ago at the office with Bagel Monday, and there was a really sharp knife. I was like kind of tired because it was during football season, and I was like, you should probably move your thumb a little out of the way and then just fucking slice the shit out of it.
Yeah, those are tough moments. I blame the packaging in this situation because I gotta assume that those solid plastic packages that everything comes in, those are responsible for more injuries than probably trampolines. Those are probably the number one cause of minor injuries. I've always learned if there's something that's coming in that sturdy plastic packaging, just get a pair of scissors out. Yeah. Just use scissors. Don't try to open it yourself. Don't try to like tear it open with your teeth. Don't use a knife. Just get scissors immediately and save yourself like 20 minutes of frustration and a trip to the emergency room.
Most emasculating thing is when you cut yourself on the plastic.
Yeah.
Then you're like, I could have just cut myself with the knife and made it easier. At least I would have gotten it open.
The plastic gets under your fingernail and cuts you there. Whoever designed that they're real motherfuckers.
The specific, packaging is just the worst.
Yep.
It works, but god damn it, does it suck.
Got a little drunk after the Timberwolves when karaoke'd Kendrick's Mad City without skipping any of the words. I'm whiter than Billy.
I'm whiter than Billy. Is this how Morgan Wallen lost his voice?
This one.
No.
There's no coming back.
There's nothing really to say about this one. That's a Jimbo. Yeah. That is a Jimbo. Karaoke's so dangerous too when you're with anyone at work or anything. Like, it's designed to make you look foolish. And it's fun. It's so much fun. But you need everyone to be the equal amount of drunk.
Yeah,
because if there's one sober guy, or one sober person, they're like, "Hey, remember that last night?"
And unless you're a really good singer, there's just a handful of songs that you should stick to, and most of them are the songs that everybody's going to sing along to. Sing Wagon Wheel.
Yeah.
Let everybody else sing it for you. Yeah. I heard that I think it's the Philippines, they take karaoke very, very seriously, and there are a few songs that are like sacred over there. So if you try to sing My Way by Frank Sinatra and you fuck it up, they will beat the shit out of you.
Oh, I like
You
that.
will get beaten up. I think people have gotten killed over messing up My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Good.
I respect that culture.
Yes. All right, last one.
Hey, PMT fellas. On the weekend, I went to a party at the apartment of someone I've never met. After I went to the bathroom to return some of the beers, I noticed that the toilet had a bidet attached, and I decided I wanted to see how it worked. I had no idea I was in for a full-on jet stream aimed right at my crotch. In a panic, I went to turn the dial the opposite way to shut it off, not knowing it turns on both ways, and got a double dose of water shooting at me. Had to spend the rest of the night explaining to people that I didn't explode into the front of my pants.
Yeah, that's a ballsy move to do your first bidet experience at a party.
Yeah.
You gotta have like the comfort of your own home, or like, a nice hotel.
I did mine at the Lake Charles, at the L'Auberge Resort, the Penn property down there. It does shoot out harder than you would think. It's not necessarily gentle. You learn to adjust it so it's not a fire hose.
I'll say it. Bidets, sus. They're sus.
They're nice.
They're sus.
They're nice, but there also needs to be a drying mechanism that comes right after.
And maybe like a high five.
Yeah.
Like a hand comes out and is like, good job, bro.
Or it needs to play like a beer commercial or some sort of swimsuit ad that you feel masculine as you're doing it.
Give you a novelty football.
Yeah.
the little ones you get at the bank.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. Good bidet, good water up your asshole experience.
You're still a man.
Oh man. Your bidet gives you gambling picks.
That'd be sick,
Your
yeah.
bidet spits out a parlay for you.
The Barstool bidet.
Oh shit, that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh man.
It just gets that ass.
Yeah.
And smoke shows of the day.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Let's do some lottery ball. Okay. Wrapping up the show. Hank, you ever gotten this?
Gotten what?
The lottery ball?
No.
Okay.
That's wild.
We'll see if you can get it. Numbers
17.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna do 99.
18.
I was thinking about doing 99 as well.
Do you want 99? You can have 99.
Sure.
Yeah, you've only gotten it one time. You can get 99.
Okay. Hey, but ask me if I've ever gotten the lottery.
Hey, Big Cat, have you ever gotten this?
I have.
All right.
No, you go 99 because that's bad juju. I'll go. Go ahead, Max. What's your number?
I'm going to go 20.
Okay, I'll go 76. Are you just sticking with 17 now? That's smart.
18. What you worry about yourself?
It took him 2 years to figure that out.
Big Cat got it! Suck my dick! That's fucking light work!
Oh, go
That's
Sixers!
light work!
Go Sixers,
That's
baby!
light work!
Congrats.
No, that's good juju for the series,
Everyone is
too.
saying I only
That's
got
good
it once.
juju for the series.
Yeah, that was good juju.
that's
Give me
good,
back
that's good
99.
juju. And you gave me 99.
Suck my dick, Hank. You'll never catch me now.
I'm happy for you.
Oh, that was easy.
I don't know why this has
That
anything to do
was
with me.
so easy.
That's awesome.
That was so easy.
That was a
Hang
great
another
moment.
banner.
That was a great moment. Happy for you.
Oh,
That's
man,
wonderful.
that sucks.
That's
That
wonderful.
sucks so bad.
I can't believe that.
Didn't we say 76? He should guess 76?
Yeah, no, I guess 76
said
last
every
show.
Yeah,
fucking
right.
guy.
Yeah.
When he said you should
No,
guess
no, that was our
76.
strategy.
Fifth
Jesus.
time, Big Cat, that was your first one. March 10th, 2021. So just over
Love
2
it.
years.
Love it.
Wow.
Love it.
Wow.
Dynasty
2
year
year
That's awesome.
drought. 2 year drought over.
But it's not
That's
that
awesome.
hard. I just thought really hard about it. I was like, a lot of
You
people
look.
chirp-
No, you have the good seat, but that's fine.
Oh, whatever.
What?
No, this was our strategy. Hey, we said that we were going to get 76 in your face.
I almost guessed 99. PFT guessed it first, and I
Yeah.
said you have it.
Listen, I'm happy. We're all happy here.
No,
This
you're
is
not
everyone,
happy.
all
You're
for
not
one and one
happy.
for all.
Billy's not happy.
I'm happy. I'm so happy for you.
We all owe you a lot of money now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't need the money. I have the satisfaction of people chirping me, being like, "Oh, should we start talking about Big Cat only getting once?" Guess what? You motivated my ass.
You know what? I'm gonna give you.
Shut
I'll
up!
give you my
No,
share.
this is a preview for PMTV. Don't do this preview for PMTV. Hank got a cash buyout from me for some transgressions I made.
I just gave him $200.
and that's the second.
Cash.
How much cash do you have on you right now, Hank?
I don't want to get robbed.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I'll Venmo you.
No, I don't want the
$700.
money. I don't
It's
want the
almost 2 months to the day that since PFT got it on February 27th with 55.
Wow.
money. Love it, love it.
I'm going to Venmo
back,
you
baby.
for the juju.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that was that
was awesome.
I gave him back 99, 76. Boom, just felt it in my bones.
So happy for you.
Yeah, that sucks though because there were a lot of little Hank stands running around the internet being like, "Should we start talking about the fact that Big Cat's only gotten it once?" And I was like, you know what?
That has nothing to do with me.
I'm gonna work really hard and try to get a second time. Max, how many times have you gotten it?
Do you want to ask me how many times if I've ever gotten it?
Well,
Max, you ever
percentage
got
wise,
it?
Max is
Yeah,
like
Max actually is elite.
I have.
He's
I have.
elite. He's elite. All right, that's the show. What a great ending to the show.
Yeah, that was
Hank,
awesome.
it's if you just think hard enough, you can get it. Just so you know, I am proof positive.
I don't even want to get it.
Yeah, okay, that's a lie. All right, we'll see everyone on Friday.
Love you guys.
Cats only meow at humans, not other cats. It's specific to humans.
God, that felt so good.